Well, I mean, the AJ Brown guy should be pretty happy.
Yeah, you guys hooked him up. I was wondering about that, like if we should track
10 for 158.
Oh yeah. What was it? What was he deciding between? AJ Brown and what?
He sent away Gibson. Was it Gibson? I know it was two pieces, and one of them I didn't care about. Patterson. Patterson was one piece, and then it was Judy maybe. Maybe
Okay.
it might have been like Judy Patterson for AJ Brown, and and Judy had a good game.
Yeah, Judy
He
did. And he shows.
He definitely won. He won the matchup for me on Monday night.
Looks like we're live on all platforms. And
Oh,
those of you guys
right up.
who are
Hello.
always here at the beginning of our testing, talking, I guess I don't know what you want to call it, but fairly new. Make sure that everything's up and running. So that being said, welcome to week 2 of Fantasy Football Theories. I'm here with Brian
Hey.
and Ken.
What's up, everybody?
And before we get into the results of last week, I just want to talk a little bit of just theories before I put my producer hat on. And I was thinking about this. One of the things you said yesterday was hanging my hat on the whole Cam Newton thing.
That was last week.
Yeah. Did I not say last week?
Said last night. But
Okay.
that's all right.
He said
That's all right.
yesterday.
We got you.
He's been in a hyperbolic chamber.
Dude, on a personal note, last week was a weird week for me. Anyway, I was kind of thinking like how to put that in like a metaphor type, and what I look at it is, it's basically 31 owners and then somebody sharing a controller playing Madden, right? And we get to kind of just watch what's going on. So it wasn't the whole it wasn't just Cam Newton. It was the person who's playing that on the Carolina Panthers controller, right?
Okay.
So that owner got lucky with some of the picks and some of the mesh that happened and got to a Super Bowl. What I said was Cam Newton will never get back to a Super Bowl with the Carolina Panthers. Not that he wasn't like a good player, but he needed to move franchises in order to get to the Super Bowl again and possibly win. That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about when we talk about Burrow with the Bengals. Everything lined up perfectly for them to get to the Super Bowl, but the person playing on that controller is still the person on that controller, and so Burrow is going to have to move if he wants to get to another Super Bowl again. That's what I think. The Rams had this whole dead space. When Regina George is gone, Stan took the controller, and now you see us getting into more contentions. Same kind of thing happened with the Cowboys. So that's kind of what, like when I pick my picks, I'm thinking about who's on the controller, not so much all the football talent on the field. So that's kind of my outworldly views whenever I'm doing that. Anyway, thoughts?
Just giving everything a larger overview. I got you. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I heard is you don't like the person who's controlling the Bengals.
So historically, with the franchise,
You don't
no.
believe in the
Carolina
person
Panthers, the
holding the
Browns,
controller?
a lot of those franchises that just seem to have a good season every now and then, So, and then I kind of think about that sometimes when I'm doing my picks. I'm thinking franchise versus franchise, not so much the talent on the field. That being said,
Fair enough.
do we want to go into the results? Let's just do a review of last week, a recap.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, can I get that link from you real quick?
Oh yeah. So it's it's going to be a new link too.
Yeah.
So I should probably open it. Make
So
sure.
I guess I'll start off with get this dead and buried, get it out of the way.
You gonna take your shot for DJ Chark?
Our DJ Chark bet, yes. The bet was 8 targets or more, Ken wins. Anything less, I win. And of course, how many targets did he get, Ken?
He had exactly 8 targets.
Oh, yeah. Good call, sir. Good line. Here's to you.
Alrighty. Yeah. Now let's get to the part where I don't look so good.
Less of a genius now.
Yeah. My standalone picks and games did not work out last week, Cotton.
I was thinking about
How-
that. Like Chicago 49ers game because
That
you're
was
like,
it was ridiculous.
because you're like, where are you getting this from? And I was like, I don't know. I know they're playing at home, and that field is just ridiculous sometimes over there in Chicago. Part of it was like wishful thinking, but another part of it was like,
I thought the field, honestly, I thought if anything, well, I mean, I'll tell you what, if Eli Mitchell doesn't get hurt in that game, the 49ers win. Because they couldn't do much after he got hurt. They just struggled to move the ball. Honestly, you know,
Jeff Wilson didn't come out and save the day?
Gives me pause about Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, I picked him up everywhere.
I know. I saw you starting him too.
Have to.
I'd be nervous. Just saying.
I'm not nervous. I got 60 points on Thursday night. We're good.
Who'd you have going on Thursday?
I had my boy Herbskis, Justin Herbert, and Mike Williams.
Do we talk about that on air?
what a
or-
Beezy's back.
Sure, if you want to, because if people, I have no problem with it. So before that trade, before I sent off that trade, I showed it to a buddy of mine who has taken offense to trades that I've made in the past. We'll say that, and I asked him about it, and he thought it was a fair trade. And so, like you and I see it very different. Like you and I see it the same way.
Yeah,
You and I see it the same
I
way.
see you giving up garbage and getting gems.
But
yes.
it's entirely possible that just people like you and I see it that way.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It could just be we share philosophy. You're right about that. That's why the first thing when I saw you, I was like, well, did anybody give you crap about
And
that?
I was waiting. I was waiting for it. I was like, okay. I sent it off. He accepted the trade. Now we wait.
That was weird.
And so I was honestly surprised that I didn't hear anything.
I was too. I knew I was going to see you, so I figured I'd wait and talk to you in person.
But like I said, the more I thought about it, and like I told you, I said I'm you know, there's definitely a world where I gave away the best running back on my roster. That it definitely could have happened.
For possibly the best quarterback in the NFL, and
He's number
maybe
3.
number
He's
one
going to
target?
finish. So he got hurt on Thursday. So we'll see what happens
right?
there. It's rib cartilage damage too. It's not just a broken rib, so it's harder to heal from. Because he's not going to heal the rest of the year. It's going to bother him for the rest of the season.
I was thinking it was going to be just a week or two thing.
No,
are we talking about?
No, actually, it was interesting. I was listening to the ESPN podcast, and their lady Stefania Bell, who is their injury specialist. She pointed out that they laughed at the thought that they laughed at what Staley said after the game. It's like, he's Justin Herbert. He's fine because he's Justin Herbert, and.
It might be beneficial if you guys open up the channel on your phones so you can monitor chat too, because sometimes it's hard to get in and like tell you guys that people are in chat. But Whatabeezy is back.
Hey, welcome back, sir.
And Whatabeezy, I provided a link on there. We're going to move our channel to that new channel. So if you want to go to that new channel and subscribe there, you'll hear the latest and greatest in that new channel. It wasn't ready last week. Otherwise, we would have started off right there. So welcome back, Whatabeezy. I'm glad that you had a... there he is. There he is. All right, cool. So did Brian and Ken help you out with all your picks last week? Let us know, and we'll chime in. And
Yeah, please let us know if we were helpful or not.
so
Although you
guys-
are back, so hopefully that says something.
these guys... hooked
He's
it
ready
up.
to rip us apart. That's what it is.
How dare you? Hopefully he didn't listen to Ken's picks. We
Not
hadn't
my-
quite
not my game
gotten-
picks.
Yeah,
No, my-
we hadn't quite got to the game.
My
picks
fantasy
yet.
picks were on point. My game picks were not.
Fair enough. But game picks wise, Ray and I did fairly average. We both picked 9 correctly, which if my math is right, we missed 6, and Ken got
No, there were 16 games. Your math was wrong.
No, well, we already knew Thursday, so we only predicted 15. But Ken got 3 right.
Ken got 3 right.
I'll leave that to the listeners to figure out how many
true.
was wrong.
It was wrong quite a bit. He was wrong basically just as many times as Ray and Brian, plus a few more.
Plus a few more. Only a few
One
more.
way to put it.
You know what? You guys go ahead and have fun because I crushed you last year, so whatever. and you know what's coming. Like you enjoy week one. Enjoy week one.
I am. I
know.
am. I got to warm up with a shot just for you. Thanks.
Yes, you did. If you
You know,
want
I
to challenge me
didn't
with some
really
more
do-
bets, I'll give you some more next
I'm
week.
sure we'll find some.
We'll find some for sure.
I didn't really do that bad last year with picks. I don't think.
No, it's not that you did bad. It's just that I got to the point where I was picking like 12 right a week.
My memory's a little fuzzy. I must have been
I have
drinking too much
it
those
written
nights.
down,
I'm
actually.
sure you do.
If you want to see it, I can show you.
Your losing weeks are just ripped out, but all your
Oh
winning
yeah,
weeks
yeah.
are written out.
Just the good. We only keep the good ones, baby. All right. So, how did you guys do in fantasy and everything last week? How was your week one fantasy football? You panicking or?
No, there was a couple moves that I was hesitant to make. I had,
You're talking about your start sit decisions.
yeah, because let me get the receiver up, but he was on questionable, and then they changed it last minute, and I was kind of in this buying.
You're talking about for week one.
Yeah,
You're talking for Godwin.
no, I'm talking about for maybe. Hold on,
You had got Thomas.
oh,
Michael
wait,
Thomas.
I got to go back to week one. Let me see here.
Maybe it was Michael Thomas. Did you?
Thomas,
'cause
yeah.
you didn't start Michael Thomas. Yeah.
I didn't start Michael
And
Thomas.
That would have helped you.
Yeah, I might have gave.
No,
him
you'd
a
have
win.
won.
Huh?
You would have won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think. Well, no, maybe not.
Well, I'm gonna look at it right now.
Yeah, maybe not because I didn't see how much what the
Yeah, I would have won. He would have gave me an additional 10 points.
But you have an additional 10.
Yeah, he scored 22, so it would have given me an
10 was
additional.
enough.
Yeah, you barely beat me.
It wasn't. Judy put up. I only needed 11 from Judy, and he scored over 20. Okay, well, I beat you by 9.5. So you would have beat me by
Yeah,
half a
yeah, I
point.
would've.
Yes, you would. He would have won by half a point. If he
Ding,
started Michael
math
Thomas.
checks out.
So yeah,
And the reason why I didn't start him was simply because he was that questionable. And
yeah,
if
he won't
I-
be. Yeah, he won't be on your bench anymore.
No. And if I would have replaced him with any one of my receivers, because all my receivers scored like 2 points, 3 points, they didn't produce at all, right? I think later on they will, but it's got theories going on in my head now about that. I got a whole other theories about starting receivers on brand new teams that aren't rookies. I want to see.
Oh,
how
because like you started Robert Woods and you started Allen Robinson. Yeah, that's right. That did not work out well for him.
Right, but then A.J. Brown and Adams did work out. So
then they're on brand new teams.
Yep.
So
Yes.
I'm kind of wondering what the ratio
Now,
is.
so you know
is there
what?
something to the ratio of that?
and you're absolutely right. That is one of the things
Okay,
that my podcasters talk
now
about.
I don't think those are comparable. I don't think those situations are comparable because in the Adams and the AJ Brown situation, Devontae Adams was going to play with his quarterback from college,
Oh.
and AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts have been best friends since high school. Like they,
Right.
like
So
they-
there's already a mesh.
yes,
There's an already established.
So, and I
mesh.
didn't know that about AJ. I knew that about Devontae Adams. I knew he went to Fresno State with Derek Carr. I didn't know that Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown were best friends. So, like having found that out, I feel even more strongly about getting AJ Brown. I think he's just going to have a monster year. He has to get hurt in order to not have 180 targets this year.
Knock on wood when you say stuff like that, man. Come on.
You're right.
We want him to stay healthy.
Yeah, we do. We want everybody to stay healthy, don't we? It makes it
More or less.
I mean, yeah. You're right. You're right.
There's a few players that I don't own
Sometimes-
on any of my
hey,
teams.
We got our first question. We got our first question of the night.
All right, give it to us.
And then we can get into a game breakdown.
Sure.
Cool.
Lucius Varenas wants to know, who do you prefer this weekend, Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson?
Let's see.
Oh man. So I think the Raiders defense is a little underrated. They did a really good job against the Chargers last week.
Oh, am I looking at last week's? Oh, okay.
Man, I don't know. I did not like that Arizona offense last week, and they're not getting anybody else back this week. Like they're still missing Rondale Moore. They're still 5 weeks away from having DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler says that he's gonna force the ball to Marquise Brown, and we all know that. If you remember back to the days of Randy Moss, the Randy rule. Like forcing the receiver the ball just doesn't work. So if he's if he's out there in putting it out in the stratosphere that he's going to be forcing the ball to Marquise Brown, like automatically their offense gets a little worse, in my opinion.
And I think that's more of a look. I need to look for this guy more. You know what I mean? I don't think he's really going. Okay, I got to hit this guy a dozen times a game.
I don't know. Like in my opinion, if he was open, he would have got the ball more. Like if he had if he had been open, he would have got the ball more. So I have pause. I kind of want to see with the Cardinals before I jump back on the Murray train. I'd rather have Russ this weekend because the Broncos fumbled the ball inside the 5-yard line twice on Monday night. I think they moved the ball up and down the field, and yeah, I'd much rather have Russ. That could be wrong, but I'm just I'm so off on the Cardinals offense right now. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, honestly, it's a close one because one thing that you do know is going to happen game script wise. In your head, you're thinking that Kansas City is going to put up some points. Arizona's going to have to keep up, so Kyler's going to be throwing the ball. And on the other end of the spectrum, we've got Denver favored by 10? Yeah, there it is, 10 against the Texans. So now you're talking about running the ball game script.
No, I agree with you.
running backs.
I agree with you. Like the Raiders-Cardinals game is the game that is one of the 3 games this weekend that I like to attack for stacks on DFS. But that being said, I want to start Derek Carr, not Kyler Murray.
Right.
And here's another thing about it is that the Cardinals run the football more than any other team when they get inside the 20. 2 consecutive years they've done that. They've run the ball more than any other team inside the 20 and inside the 5. So
here would be he's saying go Russ all the way. My advice would be if you need that floor, if you need to be safe, absolutely pick Russ. If you need to hit a ceiling, if you need to put up a ton of points, Russ is probably going to be mediocre this week.
So that's okay.
I'd
so
go
here's
for
the thing:
Kyler
if you're projected to lose your matchup, and you're choosing, I would choose Kyler because he has the potential to score more points than Russ, and you'd want to take a bigger shot. But if you're projected to win already, you want to just guarantee as many points as possible, and I would start Russ.
I agree completely. And that doesn't happen very often. Ken and I agreeing completely.
No, it doesn't. So we must be wrong. No, I hope that helped, and good luck, man.
Yeah, good luck, sir. Keep the questions coming, Mike. We
absolutely.
Love them.
So you guys ready to start with games?
Yeah, I feel like
we're going straight to games.
Are we
I'm not.
missing something?
You guys keep talking. Let me make my week breakdown here.
Okay,
So you guys keep going.
Keep doing that. So we were still talking about. We keep talking about things that happened in week 1 that were interesting.
Actually, give me a minute here. I want to talk about the Steeler game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Homer minute.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Yeah.
That's actually something we should do for at the beginning of the
Yeah, we did last week too. So.
Yes, I like it.
All right. So I'll tell you, this game reminded me. I mean, especially week 1. It reminded me of why I love football and watching football on Sundays. Because
anything can happen.
Oh my God, that game lasted 4 hours, and it had so many ups, so many downs. You know what I mean? I wanted to run around the house, screaming naked because I was so happy, and then 5 minutes later, I wanted to shoot somebody.
And you know what?
It happened
interesting
over and over and over again in that game.
So what was super interesting about that, right? Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. The most level thing in the entire game was Mitch Trubisky. He was the most consistent thing in the entire game.
And I'll tell
you
you
know what? Go ahead.
I'm willing to I want to give him one more game just to see. Maybe the Cincinnati Bengal defense was just that good.
Can we get?
Oh my God!
Hey,
Mitch
can we get a?
Not look good out there. Oh,
not yet.
It was so bad.
No. I'm not asking you to do something.
Okay.
I'm asking you to for your brain space, I guess.
Okay, that's good.
Is it possible for us to get a clip of Brian saying that he'd much rather have Mitch Trubisky than Jameis Winston? Because that's out there. You said that on this podcast.
Was it last week?
No, it was.
No, that was last year.
No, it was this year.
Sorry, over the.
It was in the off season, and I said it was in the off season. We were talking about the Steelers and how because they pulled the trigger, they got in Trubisky, and I was like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
Jameis Winston is right there. He was right there, and then he went and re-signed with New Orleans for half of what you're paying a primetime quarterback. Like, I think less. I think I want to say he's making less than $15 million this year.
Right, and Mitch is making like 7, just so you know. But like, we did get a bargain on him, but obviously we got what we paid for so far. Like I say, I want to see him against another defense.
I'm worried,
but I am very worried
because they should have won by 20.
If Mitch keeps and if Mitch keeps looking like that, I want to see a rookie in there much sooner than later.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Because
I expected much more.
But I'll tell you what, after
wow.
what I did see, like if you want to take a positive away from it as a Steelers fan, he doesn't look like he's going to lose games for you anymore. Like there were plenty of opportunities for him to blow the game, and he didn't do that.
He had a couple of throws that I was like, oh my God, what's he doing? You know what I mean? So, and I will say that I don't think I've ever watched Mitch that closely. Obviously he's never been my quarterback. I hate the way he throws the ball. I hate it. Like, it is such a horrible throwing motion.
Yes, I know. And that's the first thing that I notice about a quarterback when I'm watching them throw is how they throw the ball. Like, do they look comfortable when they're throwing? Does the ball zip off their arm? Are they accurate? Like, do they struggle to do it?
We got some comments. What a busy. He said, I kind of started Pierce over Money in my flex last week and got the... Okay, no, that's one too far back. I dropped the Cowboys defense because of the injuries on both sides and replaced them with the Dolphins defense.
Love it.
Yeah. This week they're in Baltimore, so I don't love their matchup.
Right.
However,
but in general,
Baltimore is a rushing team, and so are the Patriots. Typically the Patriots are a good rushing team. They're top 10 every year. And the Dolphins held them to 57 yards rushing last week. So the Dolphins defense might actually just be sneaky good.
Or is that New England's new offense?
Or
running scheme
we don't know yet.
Doesn't work.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. It's week 1, so it's hard to say. So all I'll say is I don't love their matchup this week, but also if they have a good week, you might have it might be too late to jump on them.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't see what they're doing in the next few weeks.
If I'm not
but
mistaken, they scored like 19 points in our scoring. So I think I think I'm a little nicer on defense scoring. So in standard leagues, they would have scored about 15, somewhere 15 to 16, which is really good. So, and then they did that on the Patriots, which doesn't typically happen. Like, the Patriots don't turn the ball over a lot. That's just not what they do. So, I'd much rather be on them than Dallas, though, per se, because, as the resident Cowboys fan, I'd be like, I love their defense. They look so good defensively, but they're going to be on the field a lot, I think. But we'll find out.
Take your Homer minute, man. Talk about the Cowboys, because that's definitely one of the things I want to talk about.
So, going around on the internet are things like people trying to compare Cooper Rush and his situation to Tom Brady, and it's cute. But what I will say is that Cooper Rush has one start. It was in prime time, and he won.
Okay.
He finished as the QB 12 on that week. So he threw for over 300 yards. There were a couple of those that were like long catch and runs. Like he got one to Pollard where Pollard took off for another 50 yards, and he got one to like Cedric Wilson or something. That was that week I called Cedric Wilson. I was like, you should have started him.
So how do you personally feel here?
I don't.
Are you looking for them to win, or are you looking for them to lose at this point?
Oh no, I'm never looking for them to lose. That's crazy talk.
You think that they can make the playoffs still?
I want to see. I don't. The thing is, I didn't think that actually personnel was their biggest problem in week 1. I didn't understand their play calling, but I'm often confused by their play calling. Like, I've never been a fan of Kellen Moore. Like, I've never understood why, people are so enamored with him. Like when he was interviewing for a job, I was like, please go. Like when he was,
No.
when he was interviewing for coaching jobs, not this last off season maybe, but the one before. It's like, go, get out of here. Go ahead, kid. And like, because he does things like the Cowboys, and now I wish that I could get the numbers for what the Cowboys averaged on yards per play before Connor McGovern got hurt. He's I've talked about him on this podcast a couple of times. I love that guy. He's a monster. He was starting at left guard, and the Cowboys moved the ball early in the game. The first 2 drives of the game, they moved the ball well. Then he got hurt, and they struggled to move the ball the rest of the game. And I don't, I'd like to see what like the split was like the moment he got hurt, what they averaged per play before and after, because I imagine it's a stark difference. Stuff like that is fixable. You plug in the next guy up that's going to start, and they work on what they're going to do all week long, and you have a better performance than when you just throw the guy into the fire in the middle of the game. And I mean, it's on all the individual players to be prepared, but it's, that's what I will say is that like it's entirely possible that he wasn't prepared enough. The backup. I don't expect them to win this weekend. But I think they can hold it together until Dak gets back. The thing is, it's just that I think they're going to rush Dak back too early.
Just like Russ last year.
Just like
Same injury, right?
No, it's a little different. Russ hurt one of his middle fingers.
Oh, I thought it was the thumb. Okay.
I don't think so. I'd have to check. I'm pretty sure it was one of his fingers.
Okay.
And with Dak, it was behind the thumb.
Right.
I know it's been like he was instantly compared to Russ, but when people as soon as people started talking about that, my mind was like, I don't think Russ hurt his thumb. I'm pretty sure Russ hurt his finger, one of his gripping fingers.
Got to be similar though. No, I guess I don't know, but
the thumb's probably more important.
that's what I'm thinking.
That's why and that's why I'm saying I think with Russ it was like easier to rush him back because it was one of his middle fingers.
Did they put him on IR?
I have to recheck that. They did not put Dak on IR.
Wow.
Which is only 4 games.
I know. That's why not?
Oh, we got a question we got 2 questions. Okay, the first question from Twitch: CD or Waddle for my fantasy line?
Yep.
So
that's coming from the Rams fan or the Cowboy fan over here. Absolutely Waddle.
Yeah, if you're in that position, so when you're saying CD or Waddle, then that tells me that you've got another receiver ahead of CD. I'd imagine, because you're not
Right.
that's not a
Yeah, and unless I mean, there's circumstances
because you're
where
not
they
because
wouldn't.
for a lot of people CD was their number 1. So the question would be like, are you trading CD Lamb? And the answer is no, I'm not. I'd be riding him. I mean, honestly, I'm a little interested in trading, for him while he's low, because the Cowboys are going to have to throw the ball a lot, and he's still
He is the number
he got 11 targets.
Our Twitch user said
he didn't do great with them, but he had 11 targets. But if your options are if you have another, obviously it seems like you have a guy that's going to score more points than CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Waddle this week. I would just go with Waddle. One other thing I was going to say was
he says he has Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Nice.
So I would start Waddle because the Ravens gave up good looks to 3 different receivers in week 1 for the Jets. There were 3 borderline startable receivers that played for the Jets last week that didn't score a touchdown.
The cornerback room in Baltimore is decimated.
Yes,
The
that's
cornerback
the
room
week-
in Baltimore is absolutely decimated.
That's-
When they have 3 that aren't playing this weekend, I think 2 of them are starters.
They'll be better in about a month.
Right.
But
right
right
now-
now is a good time to pick on them.
Absolutely.
And then somebody from YouTube needs 1 quarterback and 1 flex. Trade Lance or Cousins. Flex spot.
I love this one because I'm in
on,
the same spot in a lot of leagues.
Flex spot. Thielen, Zeke, J-Rob, or Lazard playing from behind due to Mike Williams on the opposing team.
Okay. I would start Robinson in your flex.
Oh, wait, sorry. What was the quarterbacks?
It's Trey Lance or Kirk Cousins,
Okay,
and
Cousins.
so we can get to that one in a second because I think I said last week that in almost every league where I drafted Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins is also on the roster. And based on what I saw in the 49ers-Bears game last week, in all of those leagues, I'm starting Kirk Cousins this week, and I'm gonna wait and see on Trey Lance. And a buddy of mine, he's trying to troll me in the league that we're in together. He's like, you're really gonna start Kirk Cousins in prime time over Trey Lance? and my response was, you know what? I'm probably going to be wrong on this call every week until Trey Lance has just proven he's too good for me to keep Kirk Cousins on the roster. Or
We'll see if that happens.
or until Trey Lance proves that I need to cut him. One of those two. And so I'm comfortable like starting Kirk Cousins this week. And then if Trey Lance has a monster week this week, I'm comfortable starting Trey Lance next week and being wrong then again too.
I'm sorry, the flex. What was the flex question again?
It was James Robinson, Adam Thielen, and
Zeke, J-Rob, or Lazard.
and Alan Lazard. Yeah.
Lazard.
So, yeah, I would start
Lazard.
James Robinson's going to get work. They're playing against Indy. Indy is without their top two receivers, so I think they're going to struggle to score. I think Robinson's going to get.
He needs a ceiling too.
I think Robinson's going to get a lot of work.
Yeah, my first thought is Zeke because I always like to have a
If you
high
want a
floor.
ceiling.
But that's you.
I
want
think
a ceiling,
honestly,
so,
of the four
God.
players, of the four players, Lazard is probably the ceiling play.
Really? I don't think so. We've never seen Lazard as a
Aaron
number
Rodgers
one.
against the Bears.
It's okay, and I hear you, but like I am not sold on Lazard as a number one at all.
I'm not yet.
I don't think he's gonna do
I'll
well.
tell you
That's
what.
not where I'd go
After
for a
what
ceiling.
happened last week with his new receivers, I'd be shocked if Lazard plays. I'd be shocked he doesn't get 10 targets.
Possibly, but what's he going to do with them? I don't know, man.
Oh, he's
Lazard
no,
scares the crap out of
I
me.
disagree with that. He's not MVS. No. Like Lazard has had a couple of injury problems, but when he gets targets, he produces.
All right. Go
So
ahead.
we got a question from Clamped Easy. Jalen Waddle or Gabriel Davis for my flex?
If you need a floor play, like if you're like we talked about this earlier, if you're projected to win your match and you just want to make sure you get as many points as possible, I'd go with Waddle.
Yep.
And if you're behind because you played against Herbert and Williams or Mahomes or something like that, then I would start Gabriel Davis.
Agreed. Man, that doesn't happen very often. Why does this keep happening?
I don't know. What's that? Maybe you got.
We can keep agreeing.
Maybe you're getting smarter.
I'm sure that's it. Yes. Says the three-win guy.
Of what happened last week.
Hey, I'm 1-0 in fantasy football.
I have 4 teams. I had 3 wins, 1 loss. 1 loss, of course.
You know
in
what's
our
so
league.
funny is like I have a bunch of teams in Yahoo and in ESPN. I won all but one of my ESPN leagues, and I lost all but 2 of my Yahoo leagues.
Consistency.
But you know what's interesting about that is that I was going through and I was making lineup changes today. Like I have Michael Pittman on none of my Yahoo rosters. None. 0. But I have him on like 5 ESPN rosters. And the reason for that is because of the ranking system going into the draft. Like
Right.
Michael Pittman was much easier to get at in round 3 or 4, usually round 4, than in a 10-team league, than he was to get in Yahoo. He was going in
Right.
in the 20s. So I just ended up with a lot less of them, and so the roster composition is it's going to be interesting to watch that all year long.
Agreed. Did we have any more questions, or are we good for now?
We're caught up.
All right. Cool.
We're all caught up, ready to start talking about games.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So you want to bring up the games? So
Yeah. So however you want to start is fine.
ooh, my stream health. Okay, it looks like we're caught up.
We
We dropped some frames there. So everybody, I apologize. We are streaming to 3 platforms right now, and it's our first time, so we're filling that out. But it's another reason why we're trying to direct everybody to from the Cloud Adjuster YouTube channel to the Fantasy Football Theories channel, so we don't have to stretch our bandwidth like that next time. So, first game up, Dolphins and Ravens.
Woo! This is so man. This is the hardest game of the week to pick.
It is very tough. I agree.
I think this is the best game of the week.
What's the line on it anyway? Let's see.
That is a good question. I don't know. But what I do know is that the Ravens did not look great for a team that won 24-9 in week 1. I was very unimpressed after watching that Jets Ravens game. Honestly, like I came away thinking, man, the Jets are a quarterback away.
If only.
So we'll see when Zach Wilson gets back. Just to talk about the Jets for a second, what he's going to do. Like, I still have high hopes for Zach Wilson, and if he plays well, the Jets have a lot of fun pieces.
They do. They do have pieces.
They have a fun defensive line. They have some good some guys in the secondary that can fly around, and they've got a lot of weapons on offense now. Like, I was really low on.
Did we just jump to Jets to Browns?
No. I'm talking about the Ravens because the Ravens made these guys look good.
Okay.
So we're going to bring this full circle because the Dolphins
Gotcha.
the Dolphins have better weapons.
I thought that's what we were doing, but I wasn't sure because
the Dolphins. So yes. So I was going to talk about the Jets' weapons a little bit and what they did to the Ravens. So the Ravens, not only did they give up 3, nearly startable days to receivers that didn't score touchdowns. They also, you could have started Breece Hall or Michael Carter last week. Breece Hall ended up with 10 targets, and I think Michael Carter had 11. I'm pretty sure. And then they had 3 receivers with 7 or more. And that doesn't happen very often.
No, I didn't watch that game. Those stats sound kind of crazy. Actually,
it was crazy, and so Flacco looks awful. Like, he looks like a Skeletor out there with the football in his hand.
And the sky is blue, we know.
And but the Ravens seem to struggle a little bit in tackling Breece Hall and Michael Carter. So the Dolphins have Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds. I think those are both interesting. Based on what happened last week, I think those are both interesting pieces this weekend. And it's going to be interesting to see what Tua does to the Ravens defense versus like what Flacco couldn't do.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to.
The line, by the way, is the Ravens are at home favored by 3.5.
I don't like that at all. I want to pick the Dolphins on this one.
Oh man.
I do. I kind of like them. I
was kind of hoping to lone wolf the Dolphins on this one.
Nope. Sorry.
And just to put in my 2 cents, the cornerbacks are absolutely decimated on the Ravens, and I really think that Miami's going to be able to throw all day on them. And just sneak peek here, Tyreek Hill will make an appearance in my lineup. I really like him this week. So, I'm going to pick Miami too. I'm going to go against the odds here. I'm going to pick the dog.
And our fearless producer.
I'm kind of leaning towards the Ravens.
It's probably a good wolf pick, honestly.
It's not it's a good place to have a wolf pick for sure.
All right, I'll put it on the board here.
Get a home team.
And I just think there's more mesh going on over there.
For fantasy football, interestingly, I like all the Dolphins. I mean, I picked the Dolphins to win, but I like the Dolphins players, and I don't like a lot of the Ravens outside of Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. The 2 touchdowns by Duvernay were fluky. Ooh, can I get one too?
How are you going to bring me a... Okay, that's better.
Nice mug.
Hey, you're going to bring one for Ken too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the man, Tony. The 2 touchdowns by Duvernay were fluky. He wasn't really a part of the offense, and that's I didn't really understand what the Ravens' offense was doing.
I think it's from my point of view. I just think they kind of got hit pretty hard, and they have a higher potential, higher ceiling, and I think they're gonna. I do
think they have a higher ceiling. I totally agree with that. As a guy who owns Mark Andrews in like more than a half a dozen leagues this year, I wanted to see him be more involved. But I'm sure that he will be, so I'm not really worried about it. Thanks, sir. But it was just kind of an odd game. Like, it seemed like the Ravens could have won that game, like 41-10 instead of 24-9. You know, it was almost like they didn't play their best game. They didn't have their best game plan. They weren't making explosive plays.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, Miami played at home last week too, though, and I think that was a big factor in their victory. Seems like everybody's got the sun in their eyes over there.
In watching that
the
game,
visitors.
the Miami defense looks legit. Tua looked exactly as good as he looked in preseason. I honestly think Tua is a starting quarterback. I think that at the end of the year, Miami will have figured out that they have a starting quarterback.
He's struggled though in past seasons, right? He just he's like wishy-washy.
No.
When I think of Tua, I think of kind of wishy-washy quarterback.
So my biggest concern with Tua is that he gets hurt.
Is that not part of the wishy-washy?
Well,
not getting hurt is a talent.
Well,
I think
availability
we've
is the best
established
ability
that.
is a saying that everybody likes to throw out all the time.
Out of world.
That one's too common. The availability is the best ability one. That one everybody knows that. But
Watch him get hurt this next game.
yeah. So I'll tell you what.
Okay, the deciding factor.
If Tua doesn't miss any games this year due to like some
caveat,
like some simple injury, you know,
give
he has
this boy some caviar with his caveats.
Yeah. But I do believe that he'll stay healthy.
That was a good saying.
I
can coin that, right? I don't think I've ever heard it before.
I believe that he will stay healthy this year, and I think that he's going to have a good year. I don't think he's a quarterback you necessarily want to be starting in fantasy because that's not his. He's not flashy. I think that's what it is with Tua. He's a new age quarterback who's boring. He's kind of boring. He just makes the right play.
And we'll see this year with Hill. He might be a little more exciting.
His numbers are going to look more exciting.
Exactly.
His numbers will look more exciting.
To me, he's a streamer this year. He's like a 12, 13, 14 quarterback, and you're going to want him some weeks and some weeks not.
Is Hill one of the receivers we talked about earlier today?
Yeah,
as far as new
Tyreek
team,
Hill?
new receiver.
We didn't
'cause he had a
finish that
great-
conversation.
Yeah, he did great too.
He was excellent.
Yeah. So do they have some kind of established rapport? No, so
Nope.
that goes against it too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
But all three of those guys that did well, though, they're all stars. They're all superstars too. And the ones that went over and didn't do so well were not
Number twos.
number twos.
Allen Robinson was a number one at one point.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
He's 28. I think he just turned 29.
No, I guess he was the number one receiving option in Chicago
And Jacksonville.
Was it last year?
And Jacksonville.
No, Jacksonville for sure.
He was in Chicago
actually
for like
good in
4
Jacksonville,
years.
But yeah,
He
but
did. No,
I
he
don't
put
think
him-
he had a good year.
Yes,
any
he
of those,
did.
fantasy wise.
Yes. Allen Robinson was a top 12 receiver for consecutive. Here.
I believe you.
That guy.
Go
I
ahead.
don't know.
That's why I
don't know.
picked him because he's known to be
Talk
top
about
receiver.
Robert Woods for a second.
Robert Woods. I didn't even get to watch that game. The Titans versus who would they play?
They played the Giants.
The Giants,
and
yeah.
we can say things about the Giants and the Titans when we get to that. That game was ugly.
Okay.
Agreed.
And I was curious about it. I didn't get a chance to log in and watch what happened over there, and I was very curious to know what happened over there. Did he just not get targeted? Was he dropping him? Was going on over there? Just not part of the offensive scheme yet?
They don't seem to have a. Now that AJ Brown's gone, they don't have someone that they want to pepper with targets. They had a bunch of guys get involved. Like Westbrook-Akina had looks. They have a rookie that they really like, Kyle Phillips.
We have a question.
He's a slot receiver. He's Wes Welker type.
So Damon DeBeast, Waddle, Hollywood, or Jeff Wilson at flex?
So
we're gonna do the same thing again. I think.
I think so.
For the floor, you're gonna take Waddle, and for the ceiling, you're gonna take Brown.
I think Waddle's the middle play. I think if you want the floor play, you play Wilson. because he's going to get work. He's guaranteed to get work.
He's not guaranteed to get work. That's the thing.
You say that,
This
but
is
that's
San
like
Francisco, man. You never
Oh
know
my
who the
God.
running back
Oh
is going
my
to be,
God.
what they're going to do. I have
they
zero confidence.
Okay,
in
you
Wilson.
say that, and I have more confidence in Wilson going like as the week has gone on because they signed Marlon Mack. So that tells me that they don't like any of the other guys. They didn't like the other guys.
Or they just need some depth.
What do you mean? They have 2 other running backs that supposedly they like. They let Trey Sermon go.
Right.
So they have these other guys on their roster that they like, but it tells me that when they sign Marlon Mack that these guys aren't ready yet.
So you're staying away from Hollywood Brown this week, then?
It's not that I'm staying away from Hollywood Brown. I agree with you. He's the ceiling play. I agree.
Yeah, dude, I love
I
Hollywood Brown
agree.
this
I'm
week. I
just
think he's gonna
scared
have
of the
a really good
Cardinals'
week.
offense. I'm scared of the Cardinals' offense.
I will give you that.
Because I don't think the Chiefs are. I don't think the Chiefs are a top 5 defense. I don't think they're nearly as good as they looked against the Cardinals.
But would you put the number of targets on Brown at what?
8.
9? I mean, it's up there, right?
Yeah, no. I would say
gonna get targeted
I would,
by
but
a
he
good
did.
quarterback.
So he didn't. Kyler Murray's not a good quarterback.
Okay. That's a hot take because that's
Okay,
not
Kyler
what
Murray's
most people think.
Kyler
You know,
Murray's
I
a
agree
fine-
with that hot take.
He's a
Okay.
good fantasy quarterback.
I-
He's good for fantasy. That's like saying Jalen
Correct.
Hurts is a good quarterback. I don't think either of those guys are good quarterbacks.
They kind of blew up on the scene with their running and the running abilities and that.
And
never
Kyler
lasts
hasn't
and-
been running as much.
Yep.
In his last 8 games or something like that, Kyler Murray's had 5 rushing attempts or less.
Yeah, the Rams scared the crap out of him.
He's just not running the ball as much anymore. And if he's not going to run the ball, no, I don't like him. I don't.
Right.
I want you tell me Kyler Murray is gonna take 5 rushing attempts or less every single game. Where do you put him then in your quarterback rankings? He's near 10 now, isn't he? Because
Probably
he's
7 or 8, yeah.
because he slides below guys like he's so number 1, 2, and 3 to me are Allen, Herbert, and Mahomes, and Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. After the first 2 weeks, no, Mahomes at least number 2, and I feel bad making him number
It's gonna be very close.
He looks so good. He looks good. He sounds locked in. He sounds like a guy on a mission this year. So I'm not picking Herbert over Mahomes in terms of fantasy points production.
So to answer the question, you're Damon DeBeast, Waddle, Hollywood, or Jeff Wilson. You guys are in a disagreement.
I think we're
Not knowing the situation, I'm going Hollywood Brown.
we're disagreeing on the floor play and we're agreeing on the ceiling play.
Okay.
Right?
That was floor play, not foreplay. Just
We're just
throw it
no.
out.
We always
That's what I
disagree
heard.
on foreplay. No. So yeah, if I was if I needed points, if I was behind in my matchup, I'd start Hollywood Brown.
And honestly, I'd probably start Hollywood Brown no matter what. There, I think he's got a good ceiling.
He
and a
loves
good,
Hollywood
floor.
Brown. He's super in on Hollywood Brown. I'm not.
For the first 6 weeks, you're right. I am.
And it's
we'll
funny
see how it
because
goes.
he's a receiver that went to a new team,
Agreed.
and he's with his bestie, and they didn't do nothing.
Fair enough.
They didn't do nothing.
Dude,
They-
Hollywood
they
is a
do-
dang good receiver.
I don't think he's that good.
Oh, dude.
I don't think he's that good.
I saw him make some plays for.
I've never seen him make some of the plays that I've seen Devontae Smith play, and I feel like they're the same guy, physically. Devontae Smith will do things like make back shoulder grabs and make toe tap grabs and stuff like that. Whereas Hollywood Brown, most of his highlights are him fucking getting
Going
way
down
open.
the field, or getting past and making this amazing dive to catch the ball. I've seen him do
That
make
stuff's not hard to do.
Dude, he was in my division for too many years, man.
Too many. He's in his 4th year as a pro.
I know.
What do you mean too
And
many
for
years?
3 years, I was just like,
he,
oh my
What are you
God.
talking about? He missed 12 games in the last 3 years. What are you talking about?
And he was great in those games.
Okay, you know what?
Anyway.
Okay. Not sure exactly
We need to
what
bet on this
Brian's
somehow.
been drinking. But no, Hollywood Brown is the boom bust play. Of those 3 guys, he is the boom bust play.
I don't think he can bust.
I think he can. He just did last week.
How do you bust with 9
He
targets?
just did last week when the team he was playing against scored 40 points. The Chiefs scored 40 points and Hollywood Brown busted. What are you talking about? How do you
Hold
have
on,
a
I'm looking up points.
There was no DeAndre Hopkins. There was no Rondale Moore. Zach Ertz was on a snap count, and Hollywood Brown still didn't produce. You're kidding me, right?
All right, 14 fantasy points. So I mean that's definitely a mediocre performance, but he did not bomb. I mean,
Ken's passions got me on his volume knob.
That's a smart play.
yeah, you're the touchdown saved him. You're right about that. 443, and only 6 targets, which is very surprising. Which is why Kyler came out afterwards and was like, "What are we doing? We need to target this guy."
What he said was elite receivers in the NFL get 10 plus targets a game.
And that's why Marquise got 6. Is that what he said?
No, he said so we got to get him more, so we got to
Yeah.
get him closer to that. We got to get him more targets is what he said.
Okay.
So, and I don't think I disagree with that kind of mindset. Like looking at the box score and going, "Oh man, you only had 6 targets. We got to get you more, cuz." Like I know
everything's game flow. Everything's. Yeah, I get.
I don't agree with that.
Did we get another question over there?
Yeah.
What do we got?
So Lucius, last question. Great show and informative. You guys
you.
rock.
Oh, thank
Should
you,
I
thank you.
dodge having the Indy defense?
I just did.
Best receivers out and
Yeah.
defense injuries.
Yes.
Fade them for Baltimore Giants, etc.
I'd rather start. I wouldn't want to start Baltimore. Honestly, you know what I like this weekend is the Jets. If you're gonna stream somebody, like I don't like getting away from the Colts. If for one of these defenses, if you're gonna have to pick them back up because you're gonna want to have the Colts when Shaquille Leonard is better. But I really like the Jets this weekend.
Right.
That Browns offense is pretty inept.
There's some others out there. I think Cincinnati is a good defense to
Cincinnati
pick up.
is an excellent play this weekend.
Was there? I had one more good one that I really. Well, obviously the Steelers, even without Watt, I think
the
going
Patriots
against
also can be
the
available.
inept Patriots right now, I think.
But back and forth on that game. That game could be 10-7 this
Yeah,
weekend.
you're right about that. It could be. Yeah, like I say, we just
So if you get-
talked about Mitch Trubisky.
So teams I would rather start. Defenses I would rather start this weekend. Like you can turn around and start the Jaguars against the Colts.
I'd rather start the Colts than Jags, wouldn't you?
The Colts were unable to beat the Texans in week 1.
But I thought you had faith in
Now
Texans.
here's what I think is going to happen in that game. Like a spoiler for later, I think the Jaguars are going to be able to score points, and when the Colts have to try and score points, they're not going to be successful.
Because they've got no Pittman.
Yes, they have no. It's not just no Pittman. They don't have Alec Pierce either. They're without number 1 and number 2. So in the league that I care about the most, I just dropped the Colts for the Packers.
Yeah, and honestly, you just talked me into the Jags. You're probably right. I think I would rather start the Jags there. Yeah.
So any more fantasy thoughts? on
Also, one more thing: the Colts are probably missing their slot cornerback Kenny Moore this weekend. So,
any more thoughts on Dolphins Ravens before we move on?
Oh, I think it's time to move on.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's-
Let's
yeah.
move on.
We talked that one to death.
let's move on
Yeah.
to the actual game of the week, right?
Jets and Browns.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know,
the
Browns
Loser Bowl.
surprised me last week. Browns surprised me last week.
The Browns surprised a lot of people. They didn't surprise me. I was more surprised by how bad the Panthers were.
Exactly. Like,
Honestly,
what
I
surprised
was-
you about the Browns?
Nothing.
Like,
Nothing's
they didn't show anything.
No,
did they?
no,
Well,
no. The Browns, honestly, I think the Browns are a playoff team. Like they,
And when you say that, you think they're going to go?
They're gonna hold on.
6-5 or 5-6, and then Watson's going to come back
Yes.
and bring them to the playoffs.
I do.
That's what you think?
I
is gonna
do. I
happen?
do think that's going to happen. Yes.
How many wins do you think they're going to have? 5, 6.
I think by the time Watson gets back, they'll have at least 5 wins.
So 5 and 6, and then Watson makes a playoff.
And I
run
think
for
he
him.
can. I think he can make the playoffs from there.
I see him just missing the playoffs. I think you're right. I think
They'll be close,
they probably
though.
have
They'll be
4
close.
or 5 wins, not 5 or 6. In
I
my
could definitely
opinion,
see
but
them playing for a playoff spot in Week 18.
Honestly, I'd have to look because they played in a very tough division, obviously, and so it depends on how many divisional games and who they're playing beforehand. But yeah.
They have a favorable schedule though. They get to play the NFC South. And I actually didn't
Well,
see.
so does the rest of their division. They have to beat out somebody in their division.
No, I know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, depends on it. The scheduling is very important. If they play all of those cake games before Watson comes back,
True.
And so I don't know. I haven't looked at exactly at their schedule, but
Because we don't care that much about the Browns.
no, we don't. but I watched that whole game, and the only thing I didn't like about them was their quarterback, old Jake Brisket.
Yeah. No.
I'm just not a fan, and
That's why he's a backup.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is crazy how quarterbacks get washed out of the NFL. Like, it's so much worse than any other position because it is a wasteland. Not even every team has a starting quarterback that they want as their franchise guy. And then almost nobody has a backup that you can throw in and be confident that he's going to be able to, produce
Only
anywhere.
San Francisco, right?
Yeah, yeah. Only San Francisco has a guy where if we put that guy in, he's going to do at least as good.
Right.
Well, I kind of want to see what our backup is made up over the Rams.
That's crazy to me. It's
is
so interesting how these first round they can't. You know that Josh
I
Rosen.
don't even know.
You know that Josh Rosen's still a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. I heard he got a job somewhere.
Yeah. Again, he's still
Number one draft
it's
pick,
crazy,
man.
dude.
He's got that draft capital.
How long was Jesse Palmer on a roster?
I don't even know who that is. He's Jesse Palmer.
Dude, he's the fucking sorry, first F-bomb of the night. He's he's the bachelorette guy.
What? I don't watch The Bachelorette. I have no idea what you're talking about. What?
Your wife doesn't watch it?
No.
Oh, you're lucky.
No.
You're lucky.
And the Rams' backup quarterback is Bryce Perkins.
You had to look him up too.
I thought you guys said Wolford. What happened to Wolford?
Yeah, we shipped him off.
See?
when Bryce was all like,
These backup quarterbacks, you just can't count on them.
You know, I was kind of hopeful for
but
Wolford, and then he got
anyway,
injured after getting hit
the Browns.
once. I was like, okay.
The Browns looked fine. Their defense is obviously solid. They were able to run the ball all day against the Panthers, and it was Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt that were both doing damage, so they both look good. Kareem Hunt was just so far the best value of the draft season because he was going in round 8 in 12-man drafts, and he was going in round 10 in 10-man drafts. And he's just you're going to start him. Like, if you have Kareem
flex
Hunt,
him every week, right?
I wouldn't even say flex. If Kareem Hunt's your number 2, you're fine.
Because you're stronger in other positions.
Yes.
But you're not like, oh man, I want him as my number 2. You know what I mean? That's not your desire, but yeah, I mean he's going to be solid.
I mean,
for
but
you.
if you're you say that, and it's like, well, not everybody can have fucking this number 2 can have Najee Harris and McCaffrey on their team, or you just roster construction.
Or Travis Henry and Kamara, because those studs.
You mean Derrick Henry? Travis Henry is from 20 years ago.
I'm old. What do you want?
I knew who he was. I'm old too. There was a lot of people chasing Donovan Peoples-Jones. So you want a good take from this game that you're not going to get from a lot of other people. Amari Cooper was much better in this game than anybody is giving him credit for. There were a number of times where he was open and he was just on the wrong side of the field because Brissett can't throw left.
Okay.
So he was there were a couple of times where they showed the replay and they weren't even focusing in on Amari. I was watching Amari because I was specific. I've been watching him, you know. Because he went so low in drafts that maybe you can trade for him.
Well, he went so low because of Brissett.
He's right, but to me he's a buy low guy because I think what's going to happen is they're going to look at film and he's going to figure out, well, Amari was open every time, because there were times where he threw the ball in coverage to Peoples-Jones and Amari had just toasted his guy. And I think that'll get fixed. I think he will get more targets. I think he'll be better. He looked fine. He's still getting open. He's still I still miss him.
Yeah,
and
he's a quarterback.
They miss him in Dallas.
Especially now.
He's one of the best route runners in the game for sure. When Deshaun Watson comes back, he's going to be valuable.
Okay. And on the Jet side,
love the Jets. I love
in this game.
I'm picking them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm picking
Well,
the Jets.
I meant fantasy
I'm
players.
I'm picking the Jets again. I am going to pick the Jets again because this is basically what I'm picking
on
here.
picking.
Is I'm picking Flacco over Brissett. I'm going to pick Flacco over Brissett.
That's a nasty way to put it. But what about Brees Hall, though? Do you like Brees in this game? Because
I like both of the Jets running backs.
Really?
I like
in
both.
this game? I don't. In this game, I'd be looking for other options. I wouldn't really want to start one of these guys if I could help it. But
Okay, we got two questions.
Michael
fired
Carter,
at us.
you start. No. Michael Carter should not be on anybody's bench at this point. No way. No way. After what I saw,
I would hope you'd have better options. But
no way. You didn't watch the game.
all right.
You didn't watch the game.
two questions.
Like, there's no way you watch that person. There's no way you'd watch that running back play football, and then what he produced against that Ravens defense, and then say what you just said.
Okay. I am specifically going to watch him because
should.
he was very unimpressive last year, and you're right. I did not watch that game. So,
No.
all right. What do we got
he
for
looks
questions
fast.
here?
So, first question by Miles. What's up, Miles?
What's up, Miles?
What's up, man?
Start Christian Kirk or T. Higgins?
If T. Higgins is going to play, you have to start him. You can't not start him. I just he's too high a draft capital. Christian Kirk is a guy that you got in like round 6 or 7.
But
that being said,
Kirk looked really good. Higgins hasn't practiced all week. He's always got Chase there. He's always a
Chase
danger to
helps him.
disappear.
I don't
think Kirk has a better
we
better
talk.
floor.
Okay,
No.
You take that back. What you
Take
just
what?
the
What?
danger to disappear. Unless you're going to put that stamp on every single receiver, you take that back because we had this argument last year, and I debunked that. He's not ever going to kill you. His low water mark last year was 8 points. Like, you absolutely start T. Higgins. If T. Higgins is going to play, you start T. Higgins. And I'm not saying 8 points is good. I'm saying that was the lowest amount of points that he scored. He will not kill you. This guy directly across from me, sitting right now, started 3 receivers that scored less than 8 points last week. So he would have gladly taken that 8 points that T. Higgins is going to give you every single time he straps him up. Every time.
I'm saying you got good choices there.
Yeah.
To me,
Oh, yeah.
the floor play is actually Kirk there, but because I think Kirk is
I'll agree
guaranteed to
that.
work.
Floor play, like if you want to, because Kirk is going to guarantee you like a 6 for 60 game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah, like
Now,
that's the worst you can do.
But if the Cowboys roll coverage over to Chase and T. Higgins plays in this game, T. Higgins can score 2 touchdowns.
And 150 yards, absolutely.
And you're not going to get that on the other side.
I agree with that. But I also think that Higgins
So,
could easily go 3 for 40.
It's so here's another thing is like and I don't know how many people know this yet, but T. Higgins just lost his dad.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I
sorry,
did hear-
like
I
you
did
know,
hear something.
it's really sad to hear that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times guys play really well, you know, when they're like
Yeah.
playing for something.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if
it's
like
some-
so I'll like if T. Higgins is gonna play on Sunday, I'm starting him everywhere.
Okay. Hopefully that helps you out. And what was our second question there?
Same by Miles. Michael
Okay.
Carter or Jeff Wilson?
So I'll tell
I'm
you
going
what.
to defer to you on this
I'll
one,
tell you
sir.
what. I have thought multiple times this week about taking my newly acquired Jeff Wilson and offering him to the manager who has Michael Carter because I want him on my team that bad. Man, I would rather start Jeff Wilson this week though.
Really?
Because
Okay.
because the defense for Cleveland is much better. The defense in Seattle did not do nearly as good a job as the 16 points that they allowed would tell you. Denver should have scored 30. And we talked about the 49ers signing Marlon Mack. So I think that says that they're not confident in the 2 guys that are now behind Wilson. Wilson's going to be first up. We're going to assume that he doesn't get hurt. Okay? Knock on wood. All right? If Wilson doesn't get hurt, I assume he's going to touch the ball more than 15 times.
I don't think that's an assumption you can make. I don't. I mean, I think, that's
I-
what
I
we think is going to happen.
I
but-
hear you.
But San Francisco, to predict that backfield is not an easy thing. And so my instinct would be to go for Carter because you know what Carter's going to have. You've seen the workload he's going to have.
I see you don't know what Carter's going to have though because it's a better the Browns are a good matchup,
They're similar to Baltimore in defense.
but I think the Jets can win this game. And I think if the Jets are up in this game and he gets 5 targets or 6 targets instead of 11, then you're going to wish you'd started Jeff Wilson. So Jeff Wilson started 4 games last year, and in every single one of those games, he touched the ball more than 15 times.
Okay.
Every single one.
Miles, does that help you out, Miles?
The 49ers are angry.
So once again, Ken and I have gotten back to the not agreeing part.
Yay! It's normal again. Yeah, I would. So I would
take
start
the
Jeff
advice
Wilson.
you like best there.
Yeah, I would start Jeff Wilson, and
And for the record,
I mean,
hate
you
both
probably
those running
shouldn't
backs,
go.
so-
You yeah. See, and he doesn't like either one of them. So
I do hate both
yeah,
those.
Don't listen to this guy.
And then
No,
okay,
you
so
should
Browns
watch.
Jets.
Seriously though, you should watch that. Go on Game Pass
Mm-hmm.
and watch that Jets Ravens game. Like even if you just watch the condensed action, because just watch Breece Hall and Michael Carter.
Another question.
I did just want to watch Breece
They
Hall, by the way.
pop off the screen.
I
They-
want
they-
to watch Breece.
But it's not just Breece. Michael Carter looks good, dude. He
Breece
looks
is the one I'm
good.
interested in.
I know, but so was I. But after watching the
But
game,
Carter just caught your attention.
yes.
All right,
After
all right.
watching the game, I'm a Michael Carter fan. After
So-
watching
what do we
the
got?
game, Yes.
Josh, before I get to your question, Josh, everybody, I'm gonna put the YouTube link in the chat that we're gonna be moving to, or the channel we're gonna be moving to starting next week. We're live there now. We're trying to figure out everybody that's coming to the channel for our for our fantasy football theories. My gamer mode. I went gamer mode
we
there.
can talk about Final Fantasy series
I went
too.
gamer
That's
mode
fine.
there. So before we get to your question, everybody, that's where we're going to be going. Question by Josh Canby. Chase, hopefully I said your name right. Chase Edmonds or Jeff Wilson at flex PPR.
These are great
Jeff
questions. These are
Wilson
so great. Yes, and you know what?
And just goes to show
makes
that
sense that-
everybody is worried about Jeff Wilson.
Well,
you know
it's
what I mean?
it's not. Well, that's because they picked him up and they want to start him. Because they picked.
Because they had to pay the money.
And
or
it's a great question for us to answer because I'm in our league. I'm in that position. I'm the guy who picked up Jeff Wilson, who was willing to pay for him, and I am starting him. And I'm starting him over Zeke and Dameon Pierce are the 2 other running backs on my roster. So I'm starting him over Zeke. Like, if for anybody who's going to ask a Jeff Wilson question for the rest of the night, I like Ezekiel Elliott, Jeff Wilson this week.
What do you think, Brian?
All right, my first thought is Edmonds there, obviously, because I mean,
They're at Baltimore though. It's tough.
I know I'm looking
Right?
something up real quick here. God, that's a really close one.
We're only going to get real close questions.
I love
I know,
it.
I know.
That's so
that,
much
one's,
fun.
that one's good. I guess that's why.
I'm
I'm gonna lean towards Chase there, but man, that one's super close. That one's really kind of a coin flip for me. So if Ken's here is leaning towards Wilson, I mean, I guess I'd be willing to give that to him, but just barely. Like that one's a tough one.
So did we even pick? I'm going with Browns.
I picked the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm a lone wolf
2
on the
Browns
Jets.
and a Jets. I mark it up.
Yeah, I like the Jets this year. I like them.
Ken Lone Wolf and the Jets. Did you make any of your Lone Wolf picks last week?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not. No.
I honestly didn't know. I wasn't trying to rub it in.
No, it's fine. No, I don't get upset.
the answer to that.
And Josh said thanks for the feedback.
Absolutely.
Thanks for asking
Thank
the
you.
question,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
We definitely appreciate and enjoy the
It
question.
makes the show so much more fun for us.
Woo, we got all kinds of questions this week.
So, so we're on to
We are on to the Commanders
Durs.
versus the Lions. Commanders is my gut choice
So,
right off the bat.
this
Not
is
thinking about the
this
game.
is the lone wolf pick that I was upset about because I was not impressed with like the Commanders. I'm not nearly as impressed as everybody else is with Carson Wentz and what he did. He still looked like the same Carson Wentz to me. Like he still made a couple of bad throws. He still took a couple of sacks, and I don't know.
But he had some weapons around him, and he was able to get the ball to him.
He
You know what I mean? He
did
put
do
some yardage
that.
up there.
He did do that.
I have the initial impression that they didn't get Swift involved in the game as much as I would have liked them to get involved.
Okay, so
was
if
great,
did you watch the game?
I did not.
So in the first half, it was a little infuriating how often they got Jamal Williams involved, and he did vulture 2 touchdowns. That being said, as the game went on, there was less and less of Jamal Williams. Now, and they were behind, so that tells you that like when they want to score, Swift is the guy that's on the field, and he's the guy that's going to be getting the work, and he looked awesome.
But Jamal Williams will be vulturing touchdowns all year long.
That is a fear. That is certain. Now here's
Everything
it's hard
I
to
hear
hold
out
on.
of that locker room is they love him so
They
much.
do
You know what I mean?
love him so much, but they do.
And they want to keep the
But
pressure off Swift.
I know, but talent wins out, and the thing is like those touchdowns that he vultured, both came like because Swift came off the field because he had just gotten down there on a long play, so he needed a breather. It wasn't a normal like they're chunking themselves down the field. Like I'm pretty sure he had 2 40+ yard plays in the game.
And like I said, we're not really disagreeing here. But all I'm saying is just putting it out there in the ether that Jamal Williams is going to take about 35 to 40% of the touches.
That's
in
going to
that
happen.
offense. Yeah,
I don't even know if it's touches. I'd say snaps.
Okay.
But I'm starting DeAndre Swift with confidence as my number one every single week. Like he looked amazing. Like he was
26.5 points in a PPR league. So gotta love that.
Yeah. So
for this game, you guys making picks?
Saying all that, honestly, I think I'm going to take the Commanders in this one.
Yeah, I was going Commanders.
I know they're on the road. I know we got the Hard Knocks Lions on the other side.
I'm going to lone wolf on the Lions.
Yeah. That makes me feel a lot better about my pick.
2 lone wolves on the
So the Lions played the Eagles really tough. Jalen Hurts is just a really difficult quarterback to defend, and that was they had some trouble in the red zone.
This is a tough one for me, and I think you could be right. And I think the line is less than 2, right? Isn't
It's
it
3.
Like
I think it's 2.5 or something like that. The Lions are favored because Matthew Berry's been talking about it all week because he's a Commanders fan.
Okay.
I struggle with my lone wolf. Like I always hope that I'm going to end up with at least one, but you're always scared when you not. I'm always scared when I do. I'm like, oh no, I'm the only one.
I'm gonna miss. All right, so Colts and Jags.
God, this is starting to look like more and more of a stinker of a game right now. Jags are, the Jags. They are at home, and then Indy's got everybody hurt.
Remind me again, who's the QB on Colts?
Well, now it's Matt Ryan, Matty Ice.
So, yeah, I asked that last week, too. Now I remember. For me, this is a controller game. I'm going to go with Colts on this.
And that honestly, that's a good way to put it because it's like one of those things where everything on paper, all the injuries, everything says, "Oh, Jags, God, they should probably pull this game out." But yet you're looking at it going, "How are they going to beat the Colts?"
I don't know. Probably I don't know. They might use some of the same ideas that they used in Week 18 last year. When
I know
they
it's a
the Colts from the
divisional
playoffs.
game. God, this is a really hard one for me to pick. Suckfest, but
they are at the Jags, so.
You know what? I'm going to take the Jags.
Me too.
I'm going to take the Jags.
Ray's lone wolfing on the Colts.
Oh, you want to get the last 2 there?
I got it.
I need to do better this week as a general comment from Whatabeezy.
ETN. And yeah, I think ETN will do better. I mean, obviously he had those drop passes, 1 or 2, depending on who you're watching or listening to, that could have been touchdowns. But I'm not super worried about ETN. I think his ceiling might have been lowered after that first game. But I think he is going to be a valuable piece for you this year, just maybe not as valuable as we hoped.
What are you drinking today, Whatabeezy? You still on that Texacola?
If ETN has another down game, he's my number 1 buy low target this week.
I think
So,
we should.
so even if he has a bad week, you still have confidence in him. Huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
He is an awesome athlete. Yeah, he looks awesome.
So you have supreme confidence in both James Robinson and ETN.
Yes,
All right.
I do actually.
That's huge confidence in the Jacksonville backfield. You heard it here first.
So we're drinking some beers, and we got the Costco tequila out
when
today too.
When your number one receiver on your team is Christian Kirk, is it really that much of a stretch to say the running backs might be the better 2 pieces?
Okay. You got me there.
All right.
So not much in fantasy to think about with those. With this
No,
one?
actually, So
Well, you're starting Kirk.
You might
you're
wanna
starting
think about sitting
Etienne,
Jonathan
probably
Taylor.
Robinson.
No,
Yeah, you're starting
Jonathan
Taylor.
Taylor's going to get roughly 50 carries in this game.
Is there anything sneaky on the Colts side that you want, like, with all the receivers?
Mo
hurt?
Alley
Is there-
Cox?
Really?
Maybe that's that.
And he was out snapped by, or no, the backup had more routes run than
Yeah,
Cox
yes, 'cause
did.
he
I'm
had-
just
he had
like,
to-
"Wah."
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was, but he's just dangerous in the red zone, and
Yeah.
they're going to be without Pittman.
They're going to need something. You're right. It might be
That's-
a tight end
that-
week there in
that's the-
Indy if you're looking for that odd touchdown.
Sneaky
maybe
play.
it's the way to go.
But I wouldn't want to start him in any of my redraft leagues or anything like that. DFS, like sneaky DFS play, Mo Alley Cox.
if you can get him cheap, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be cheap for sure, and he's going to be like I think he's going to get more targets just in general.
That's fair.
And then on the other side, you can start
Kirk and the running backs.
No, and Zay Jones. Zay Jones had 8 or 9 targets last week and was 6 for 60 something. And they traded for him.
Okay, so
And
when
they-
you say you can start them, like define that. So in our league, we start 3 wide receivers and a flex. So
They're-
where would you be wanting to start him? The number
Flex.
3, the flex.
He's a number 3 receiver flex. So in that range, like
Okay.
if you're in a league that starts 3 receivers and a flex like ours, you can start him for sure.
Okay, but 2 receivers and a flex, then you're probably hoping not to, right?
Yeah. 2
Okay,
receivers.
so
and-
just to define where that
But
line
if
is
you're
for you guys.
if you're somebody who is without Michael Pittman this week, there's people.
Which I was looking, I actually have him on 3 of my 4 teams.
Well, good job.
Yeah.
So, like if you're missing Michael Pittman, you're missing Chris Godwin, you're missing who else is missing so far right now?
Gage, Fournette's a maybe.
Some of the Tampa Bay guys. So
Oh, sorry, I thought that's what we were doing.
no.
with Tampa Bay guys.
Oh yeah, that game is next. But no. I'm just saying, like, just in general, like where you can start Zay Jones. And that's I think he's a 10-point play. Like
Okay.
I think he's going to be that every week.
And he's a name that wasn't really on my radar, but you know what I mean. If I'm scrounging, I guess he probably would be. I'm lucky enough. The way I drafted this year is I'm not really scrounging for wide
receiver,
receivers.
no.
So not just in our leagues, in our other leagues too. Just the way it just kind of went down is
I did
my
the same thing this
receivers
year.
are pretty
I was
strong, so.
yeah. I was very hero RB-ish this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that helps.
Did we have any other questions before we move on?
Nope. No
All
other
right.
questions. Just Wadabizi's sharing that he's drinking some H2O. He moved on.
Ooh, the hard stuff.
That's number 1. All right. So we're at Bucks
Waters for
and
the
Saints.
week. No, Buccaneers and Saints.
All right.
At Saints.
I'll go first. I'll pick the Bucks.
Yeah, that's kind of
Oh, if we're just picking,
Yeah.
I pick the Saints for sure. Love the Saints
Okay.
here.
good. I hope he scores me some points over there.
Yeah, I know. I
Lone
love the
Wolf.
Saints here. I mean, despite the anecdotal evidence of Tom Brady with the Bucks has never beat the Saints and all that good stuff.
I don't
so,
think that-
so. Saints do kind of match up fairly well. I mean, just by history. So you got to throw that out there.
Oh, we got a question.
Tampa Bay is incredibly hurt. They've
got a
got, you know what I mean.
question.
You don't know who's going to be playing, and even if they are playing, you don't know how healthy they are. And plus, man, the front four of New Orleans is going to be right up in Tom Brady's
See,
face.
you say that, and they struggled against Atlanta. That defense, that is the reason I'm picking the Bucks, is because that New Orleans defense for 3 quarters made Atlanta look really good. They turned it on in the 4th quarter. They did. And they played lockdown defense in the 4th quarter against the Falcons.
Different defense, different schemes for different teams. Like,
I know.
I don't know.
And here's another thing: is they struggled against the run, which is surprising. They typically don't, but they're getting older. They are getting older, and that's something that typically happens to older teams. Is like you can run on them. You can start to run on them.
Okay, so our question.
oh, sorry.
Sure,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Okay, Skeletal Leader wants to know: with Pittman out, who do you play between Renfro, Peoples-Jones, or Myers, or pick up on the other Colts receivers on the wire?
No, I'd
and
play
drop
Renfro
Wanado?
for sure. Renfro is a big play for me this week. I have to play against him, and I'm not excited in our league.
And I'm not that hyped up for Renfro, but out of
It's
the
the-
options that you have there, I think Renfro is a good one.
The
You know what I
matchup,
mean?
the matchup this week, they're playing the Cardinals.
Yes, and that is a great matchup. I'll give you that.
And the Cardinals defense was awful. They were awful.
Absolutely.
They were just trash. They were so bad.
Yeah, and they don't really show any signs of improving anytime soon.
No,
so
my big takeaway from week 1 was that I think you're going to start offensive players against the Cardinals this year, and you're going to start defenses against the Cowboys.
those were two of my takeaways.
As a general comment, Skeletal, he's just worried Adams will take all the targets again.
Yeah, having a 49% target share is a little unfair.
But
I think that was just
sustainable.
I think that was just like a first game, just man, we're so excited to be together.
Right. And all
It's
you
just
other
like-
teams
it's
out
like
there,
being
you better be on
it's like being in a
notice.
new relationship. Eventually, it slows down.
But I think it was also a warning to those other teams out there. Like, look, you better double cover Adams on every darn play.
Yeah,
because
like
we're going to him.
Yeah, anybody who thought he was going to go to Las Vegas and be less, well, they were wrong.
Right.
So I was happy to get Devontae Adams, at the 1-2 turn this year. Like I have him on a couple of teams, not enough, but because I was higher on Diggs. So I have Diggs on a bunch of teams where I could have gotten Adams.
Yeah, and it's still early in the year. You never know. But at first look, I was lower on Adams than I should have been.
Yeah, me too.
I should
Yeah,
have
me
been a
too.
little
Like
higher, so.
I just said I was higher on Diggs, and I've kind of just changed after week
Diggs
1.
was great too, man.
No, Diggs was awesome. It's just that Diggs is going to have 10 targets a game, whereas Devontae is going to have 12.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Skeletal adds that they're just trying to show off their new toy.
With Adams, yeah.
Yeah, and that's I was
I
saying
think that's
that
kind of
too.
what we were saying.
So
is-
when I say 12 targets a game, I don't think that's a stretch. I think I think he can easily average 12 targets a game this year.
I think that's fair.
But Renfro's still
But not
gonna-
17.
Renfro's still going to get 8 to 10.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Renfro is definitely going to pick up this week. Hopefully
think- and
Arizona, is actually scoring a little
And
bit.
I think he'll score this week too,
Yeah.
because that's where Arizona got beat, was in the middle of the field over and over and over again.
Yeah, out of those choices, I think Renfro is the clear favorite. So,
Wait, hold on. Okay, could we, Renfro or Mooney?
Also, like,
a
just
lot
to
of
put it
Beasley
out
wants to
there-
know.
ooh, that's a better question.
I don't.
For flex. For flex.
I'd rather have Renfro. Mooney's gonna have to prove it to me. I'm scared of Mooney after week 1. Like
Mooney was proving it to us last year. He just
He
didn't
was.
prove it to us last game, and that game was in a monsoon.
last year was a little different.
Agreed, of course.
And
Sorry, I'm not
It
seeing it.
wasn't
Who's
okay.
Chicago
I'm
playing
tired
this
of
week?
people saying that game was a monsoon.
Second half, all right.
It wasn't even just the second half. It was
they're
really
the
like the
Packers.
fourth quarter. It was like, and it wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, there was a torrential
here's the-
downpour for part of that game, but most of the game was a very playable football field,
Okay.
which is why I'm scared of Trey Lance.
And honestly, that's what I've heard
Which
from
is-
some of the people I trust.
Which
I
is
agree.
why I'm scared of Darnell Mooney, because during the meat of the game, when the field was very playable, he was nowhere to be found.
So Skeletal
Nowhere.
wants to know if we talk IDP at all.
No, we don't. Like we don't play in any IDP leagues yet. That's like the next step of fantasy football for me personally. But honestly, I don't know if I want to get involved in IDP. It's
a big step,
It's
yeah.
so much every week.
Yeah, you can't do multiple leagues anymore, man. You better start condensing real fast.
But
if
I
you do that.
yeah, I know that the Saints have a new. I think he plays safety. Maybe he's a linebacker. His name is like Werner or Pete Werner, something like that. Made a lot of plays in the Falcons game, and had a lot of tackles. And they talked about him on one of the podcasts I listened to.
And sorry, just to throw my opinion out there, I would take Mooney in that one. I trust in the talent of Mooney. He's got that connection there.
I agree that he's more talented.
He's obviously the number one.
Yep, I agree with that.
A higher ceiling. I think you saw the absolute floor last week. I think he's going to be nothing but better the rest of the season.
Oh, it couldn't get any
but we'll
worse.
see. Well, right.
It literally couldn't get worse.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
And Skeletal recommends that we get into that IDP league.
But yeah,
Says
I
it's
agree
worth it.
that he's a
He
higher
loves it.
ceiling. I totally agree that he's higher ceiling.
And I can see the IDP league being an incredible fun. I can definitely see that.
What was the last thing you said?
That he recommends us getting into the IDP league stuff.
Yeah, it's I want to. I want to.
All right. So let's see. Did we pick? Okay, we picked.
Yeah, we
Okay,
picked
we
them.
just need to put the Saints on the board.
And then we're on to those are primetime games. So let's go to the right side of the screen.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
you got
okay,
the
we're gonna
prime time, and then this right here is the afternoon games.
For us, it's ooh, we got a follow. Thank you for the follow. That follow is for the Twitch
thank you.
channel. Thank you. We appreciate it. Who is it? Skeletal. Thank you, Skeletal. It's been so long since I streamed on Twitch. Like it's like I forget things pop up and stuff. Like all my old automated stuff pops up.
Everyone's like, what is that? Why is there an owl on the screen right now?
But if you could make your way over to our YouTube channel, I'll post it in chat. This is where we're going to primarily be focusing all our resources. So there's that. We are.
So I'm super
moving on
excited to talk about the next game.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to talk about the next game.
Okay, so we're moving on to Panthers at the New York Giants.
Because these teams, oh man, these two teams irritated me in week 1.
Okay.
Like the Giants irritated me by winning a game they had no business winning. Because
True.
they were awful. So there were 2 quarterbacks that threw 0 off-target passes in week 1. One of them was Josh Allen.
Okay.
The other one was Daniel Jones. And so when
As we all guessed.
yeah, as we all would guess. And so and now if you look at the box score, he was 17 for 21. He had it was just under 200 yards and a touchdown. So you look at that and you go, oh wow, Daniel Jones. He's that's a really big step for him. That's a good game. Then you watch the game. He is bad at quarterback. He's slow to make decisions. He seems to panic in the pocket still. He still looks like a rookie quarterback.
He's just not improving.
No, he doesn't the game still looks like it's too fast for him.
He'll be a very good backup.
Yeah, he's talented.
Yeah.
He's talented, and and it sucks because I was he's one of the guys in fantasy in Dynasty, that I kind of wanted to sneak onto my roster, and in the hopes that he becomes like Josh Allen light because we've seen him run, he can run the ball, he has a good arm, and now they have a bunch of weapons, and now he's got an offensive mind to help him out. I didn't see any of that in week 1. I just and I don't, and you know what? I'll tell you. So let me step back a little bit. They could not block. They could not block the Titans, and I didn't understand it because the Titans just lost their best pass rusher before the season started. So I was kind of expecting the Giants to be able to just wall them off. Right. And no, they were just getting to Daniel Jones just all day. Saquon Barkley had a really good week 1.
Yeah, and that's something we have to acknowledge that Barkley
after watching
looks like the old Barkley. He looks good.
Sure, but after watching week 1, I'd be trying to sell him.
I can see that too.
Because you can get whatever you want.
Yeah, because you can get top 5 running back price.
You could not even. I wouldn't even say top. You could trade Saquon Barkley and Brandon Cooks or something like that, and get Jonathan Taylor.
I don't know.
Maybe? Because the person who took Jonathan Taylor took him number 1 overall. Mm-hmm. There's a good chance that he's gonna be weak at receiver, right? So. That
I don't think they'd be willing to do that.
Saquon,
after
right now,
week,
yes, right now they're talking. All the experts are talking redraft. If you were to redraft right now, it's Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. Above Eckler, above Cook, above Henry. They've got everyone's back on Saquon based on what he did, and based on what I saw that offensive line do, and what I saw Daniel Jones do. I'd be terrified.
That's the ceiling, is what you're saying.
Yes,
and I can see that.
Yes.
Yeah,
he did it. He did everything he could possibly do.
Even just watching the highlights of that game, it's Barkley breaking tackle after tackle. How did he get in that end zone for the extra point for the 2-point conversion?
And,
you know what I mean?
And we know he's awesome. We know he's awesome, but I think that offense is bad.
Yeah,
I don't think that offense is going to be good.
They're definitely proving that, and then on the others, okay, well, just to stay on the Giants. So of course you're starting Barkley. Is there anybody else on the Giants side that you want to start?
Sterling Shepard. He's still just doing it. Yeah, he's still just doing it.
Maybe he is still the best receiver on that
He
team.
is. He's still
He
number
might
one,
be.
and like
You know
they
what I
don't.
mean?
They
Galladay really seems to be absolute trash. Tony
so-
can't stay on the field.
Kadarius Toney was listed as a starter for that game. Had 1 target and played something like 7 total snaps. Sterling Shepard was not listed as a starter for that game, and I believe he finished with 6 catches.
Right. And like I say, and level of injury and all that has a lot to do.
They don't
with
like
that,
Tony. They just don't. They
Tony seems to have the most talent out of the
he
receiving corps,
does,
right?
but they don't like him. Whatever.
Is that what it is, or
Yeah,
is it just he's hurt all the time?
He does get hurt, but like I think they're just nagging injuries. I think a lot of them is like the Giants were in tank mode, so they weren't like trying to get their pieces onto the field to compete. Does that make sense? I think if the Giants were a team that was competing for the playoffs, Kadarius Toney would have played probably like 5 more games last year, because there were a bunch of times where they were just like he practiced, limited, and then they shut him down.
Right.
And that just isn't like most, like for instance, if you have like you're looking at like a Devontae Adams, he comes up with an injury. If Devontae Adams practices in a limited, if he is even limited on Wednesday, okay, we're cool. He's starting, right?
But Tony's more of a small speedster, right?
No, he's 6'2". Like,
Is he really?
Yes.
Like, but he's super fast because like he's
Yes,
the downfield
and
guy.
and
Okay,
he's fast.
okay. Like I always picture him as a smaller guy.
Like but he's quick twitch like Tyreek Hill. Like he's very talented, very talented. It makes no sense that they're not trying to get him the ball all the time. I don't get it. So the only thing that makes any sense is that they just don't like him. And honestly, and he gets asked questions, and I like his responses. Like he's very professional. So like I as a Cowboys fan, I'd love to trade for him.
I can see that. Yeah. Okay, and then so on the other side, Panthers. McCaffrey obviously didn't get the
Hold
ball
on.
nearly as much as he should have.
Can we start like? Hold on.
How can you not start with McCaffrey on the Panthers?
I'll show you how. Baker Mayfield, you suck, bro. Oh my god.
But he's still better than Darnold, isn't he? Or is he just the same?
No, he's the same.
He's the same.
It-
And that might
like-
be. That might be.
To mouth off the way that he mouthed off before that game, and then put what he put on film.
He printed T-shirts and sold them on his website, and then laid an egg.
He didn't just lay an egg. He didn't lay an egg. That was not professional quarterback play.
Wow. All right.
That's where I'm at with
bad?
that game. It was that bad.
Okay.
Like I was that like for a guy who's going into this is Baker's 4th year, right? 5th.
Yeah, that sounds
5th
right.
year. I think he's 2018 draft pick. I'm pretty sure he's a 2018 draft pick.
Okay.
He just didn't look like a guy who could make up for any kind of chaos. So like Tom Brady at 45, he gets pressure, he's throwing the ball in the dirt. Tom Brady at 30 didn't do that. Tom Brady at 30 was gonna like try and make a play and get the ball to whatever hot receiver. He doesn't look like he knows who that is. Like he drops back and there's pressure. And it's like, oh shit, there wasn't supposed to be pressure. And it is frustrating to watch as somebody who was excited about the possibility of Baker Mayfield coming to Carolina and making guys like DJ Moore, someone I have a lot of stock in this year, better. I'm extremely disappointed.
Can I give you a little hope? Let me give you some
Please
hope here.
do, because I haven't sold out on DJ Moore yet, but I'm like I was so out after that game that I thought
The hope I'll give you is that they did not utilize McCaffrey. Okay? The whole thing, the reason why we thought Baker was going to be decent or at least better or be, you know what I mean, be able to provide some production was because McCaffrey is so darn good that the defenses are going to have to key off him and then it's going to leave some receivers wide open in the back, and Baker Mayfield is good enough to hit a wide open receiver. Like you know what I mean? That's what we're banking on.
If he's on the right side of the field.
So I think they've realized that. I mean, they came out and said so in the press conferences and stuff about not getting the ball to McCaffrey, and I think that's going to change, and that will open some things up.
You want to know what worried me the most?
Just to give you a little hope, but
Okay, I thank you, but Robbie Anderson led the team in targets.
That shouldn't happen. I'll agree.
That should never happen.
That should not happen.
He
He should get 4 targets a game downfield.
Last year, there was a stretch where I think it was probably 4 games where Robbie Anderson turned something like 35 targets into less than 100 yards. We talked about it on the podcast, so it's out there, like the actual numbers, but it was less than 100 yards over 4 games, and he had over 30 targets.
That's talent.
Yeah, it takes talent to do that. That's hard to do.
So
I'm still picking the Panthers.
So
are you really?
Yeah.
I am too. I am too, but that's because the Giants are so bad.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Like the Panthers played much tougher competition in week 1, and so if I was gonna, me giving myself hope about the situation is that the Browns were amped up because of all the stupid crap that Baker said. So they probably played a better game, and the Browns are a playoff caliber team. Like if the Browns had their quarterback,
that's his view right now.
If the Browns had their quarterback, if Deshaun Watson was starting for the Browns from week 1, would we not be thinking of the Browns as a wild card team? Right,
for sure.
Yeah, they'd have to be up there.
Sorry,
I'm
anybody's a wild
concentrating
card
here. I'm
team.
trying to figure out where I'm at on this game. This is a hard one.
I'm gonna pick the Panthers because
I'm gonna take the Giants at home. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and lone wolf that one. But
that's another.
I do not feel good about that one.
The Giants
that one's very close.
Very inept to me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They're a Saquon Barkley injury away from just being completely irrelevant again.
Yeah, no, I'm nervous about that one.
I had Saquon Barkley though.
Oh yeah, you do.
So we got a comment by Skeletal. Giants did play the Titans though. Shut Henry down pretty good.
Oh, you know what? Thank you for bringing that up because that was actually my favorite play of the game. Was the Titans were in the red zone and Derrick Henry gets a handoff and just got blown up. Like he ran through the line, and Derrick Henry is that guy that he makes first contact with a guy, and when he makes first contact with a guy, that other guy usually goes backwards.
True.
Derrick Henry got knocked off his feet. That was something like if I were the Derrick Henry owner, that was very concerning to me because that's just not that's one of those things where it's like he's just not the guy anymore.
During our draft,
I know it's one play, but I've just never seen it. I watched that game earlier today, and I actually got loud when that happened.
He said, dude knocked him down hard.
He knocked him hard, and it wasn't like he got hit by a 300-pound defensive tackle. He got the dude wasn't that much bigger than Derrick Henry. So it was if you watch the play,
was that better than Kelsey getting slammed to the ground?
Oh man,
that was pretty awesome. Wasn't it?
The tag team slam, yeah, it was, and it wasn't just one guy though, because the second guy came in and put his hand on it too. It's helped slam him down. It was great.
So
and how high that ball popped
when I
up
saw the
ground,
replay,
so
I was
great.
like, oh, they might call a flag.
Can they do that?
But no,
suplex is legal.
The hit on Henry was completely legal and more vicious.
Okay. I got to catch the highlight of that.
Yeah, it was bad. It's gonna stick with me because especially if Henry doesn't do Henry things this year, if he doesn't become the 1,700-yard guy that carries the ball over 300 times, that's something I'll remember. That's one of those.
That's your jumping the shark moment.
Exactly. That could be.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If he goes on to be the Yeti again this year, all forgotten.
Let's hope.
So what is he saying that Kelsey spine buster scared him
As a Kelsey owner,
Kelsey
probably.
owner.
Yeah, you were probably looking for the flag.
Everybody watching went, oh,
Yes, that was fun. That was a good
that
one.
was a good one.
So back to Henry though. Who paid the most for that guy? Because when we did our draft, I was like,
He
you
has
did
to-
you
he
picked
has-
him?
he has
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
think I got him for like 51.
okay, I was thinking like, man, I hope this dude takes a step back because everybody's gonna be on that guy this draft. When I was like, when we drafted him, because he did amazing last year for
9 weeks, yeah.
He still finished as the ninth.
Gandy's team.
Yeah.
There
He
you
still
go.
finished ninth overall in rushing yards.
How amazing is that? That is an amazing stat.
That's
right there.
ridiculous. You know what? Actually, though, what I took away from that was that means there were less than 10 guys that ran for 1,000 yards last year.
And just to put that in context,
that's
he paid
low. That's so
51
low.
out of 200. You blew a quarter of your wad. on
Yeah,
that one
okay,
player.
but
Yeah, between him and Kamara, that was half my.
Derrick Henry went for 69, or not Derrick Henry. Jonathan Taylor went for 69.
Yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey went for over 60 as well.
yeah, well, yeah.
So I feel like I got a bargain at 51.
You did.
but
You did. If he does what he,
But not if he gets if he keeps
does-
getting blown up like that. Obviously not. But no, I have
and
confidence there.
also, I'd be a little worried that what was missing from that Titans offense in that game was they just didn't seem explosive. They didn't.
Agreed. Yeah.
So they might just score a lot less. So that
Yeah,
that would
they
wor-
might
that
just
would
be a
worry me
worse team
too.
this year.
And the thing is Derrick Henry's not going to catch the ball. That's not like he's just not going to.
Like they showed a little bit here and there at the end of last year.
But they have a guy they like now. Hilliard.
okay.
Hilliard caught 2 touchdown passes.
Okay.
The backup running back. Yeah, the backup running back scored 2 touchdowns.
So this is the game. Moving on to Patriots at Steelers. This game has actually got me wondering.
This is a man. It's
Okay,
a,
and I just want to say Patriots are favored by 2 on the road here. Like
the
do you guys
Steelers
think
are
that's crazy because I think
hey,
that's
look,
crazy.
the Steelers are still starting Mitch Trubisky. So
The great equalizer. Okay,
and they lost T.J. Watt.
and that's huge.
That's the
I
big
agree.
one. That's the big one. So I think the reason.
But that brings our defense from absolutely elite, number 1, number 2 in the league, to okay, really good, but not elite.
your team gives up a whole yard per play more when T.J. Watt's not on the field.
Okay,
That's a lot.
No, dude,
That's a big deal.
if you watched that game last week, you can see why. Like, oh my God, T.J.
He's,
Watt.
no,
is
I know.
beast.
He's just like his brother.
Better.
He's not.
Uh,
His brother's 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3 out of 4 years.
All mad.
and we're working on it here.
No, I'm
We're
so
working
tired.
on
I'm
it.
so revisionist history. I'm so tired of people being like recency bias. JJ Watt,
Recently biased. I like that term.
recency bias. JJ Watt is one of the top 5 all-time defensive players.
Agreed.
So did
No,
you say
no,
that
he's great. No, he's great. No, I'm saying TJ, he's getting there. You're right. No, he doesn't have the credentials yet.
Yeah,
but he is.
that's not
he's,
right,
He's getting
dude.
there, and the way he looked in this game before he got hurt. Oh my
so
God! Like he's gonna get.
he does,
He was
but-
gonna
but
get defensive player of the year again.
JJ Watt is no.
You watched that game. He was in there on every play, busting everything up. He was
Yeah.
amazing.
Like number 11 in Dallas. The only way that he doesn't win it this year is like because it's one of those things that if the Cowboys aren't winning games, it's hard. Like when that was what was special about JJ Watt is that the Texans weren't even like they didn't even win a lot,
Right.
And he still was able to do
Was
that.
that good?
But he was like JJ's a little bigger, and he would just jump up and make interceptions at the defensive line. And I've never,
Like TJ did this week.
huh? Did TJ do that?
Yes,
Oh,
this week.
He probably learned that from his brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, the plays like that are just they're nuts. And
like I say, he had play after play after play, and like I say, that's arguing.
'cause I remember
Is he a
watching. I remember
10.1
watching
or a 10.0? I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
You know, come on.
I remember watching JJ Watt during the days when they had Andre Johnson and Arian Foster, and being more excited about watching JJ Watt highlights.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that. All right, so we're getting off track here.
Yeah. So this game. So
So was anybody else surprised by the line? You guys think the line is accurate, or I thought the line was off? I thought Steelers should be favored by 2 or 3 here, and it's the other way, which really shocked me.
It's interesting. There are 2 games. Well, there's 2 games where the losing team is favored, but this one is on. This one's on the road, so it is a little shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the Steelers are at home, that's it. That being said, I kind of agree with Vegas.
Okay. And like I say, if you guys both take Patriots and I take Steelers, then I guess Vegas had the line right. Is that what's going on?
You're picking Steelers?
I'm picking the Patriots.
I'm picking Steelers for sure.
Yeah, like I'm not ready to say that the Patriots are a dumpster fire, which is the only reason I would pick the Steelers over the Patriots in this situation.
on the road.
I think the Patriots are going to have a bounce back game. I think the Dolphins are just better than people are giving them credit for.
I agree with that. What do you think, Ray?
Oh, and
I think it's Steelers, man.
in fantasy football,
I'm thinking Steelers.
start nobody in this game.
And the,
Najee Harris, and that's like maybe Deontay Johnson, and that's it.
I'm thinking
Although, like, I really like what they're doing with Claypool.
I'd have if it wasn't the Steelers, I'd have a little bit more confidence in the 2 running backs for New England since their passing back got hurt. So that shows me that they're going to get more.
But after what they
you're
did
right,
last week,
against a really good defense in this situation, I'd be
because
really
are we
start
so
them.
let's say T.J. Watt's out.
Right, but still a great defense. But
Who's the better defense, Miami or Pittsburgh?
without TJ,
Without TJ, who's the better defense?
I say really hard to say, especially week 1. I can't say for sure.
But we'd still lean towards Pittsburgh, right?
I would.
Right?
Yeah,
I would too.
I mean,
I would too.
I'm biased, but I would.
I would still lean towards Pittsburgh. So I don't have confidence in the running backs. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with that. So I don't.
I guess I'm
so
saying
what I'm saying is I don't know how the Patriots are going to do it yet, but I have confidence that they're not going to turn the ball over the way that they did last week and the way that the Bengals did last week.
and they have a crap ton of injuries. Too.
If they don't turn the ball over, I don't know how the Steelers are going to score. Because that was how you scored last week.
Absolutely.
Both of your touchdown drives started in Cincinnati territory.
So you think the New England defense
Excuse me.
is just
One
as
of them
good
was
as
a pick
Cincinnati?
6. One of them was scored by the defense, huh?
You think New England defense is just as good as Cincinnati or comparable?
I think the New England defense is great.
Okay.
I do. They held Miami to 20 points even though they couldn't score. Like I think that Miami team is really good.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. Not a lot of fantasy value in here, and Ray and I are taking the Steelers.
Yeah, just Najee.
Here we go.
Ooh, I get to lone wolf on the Patriots. That feels good.
you get to. I just
Belichick.
I'm kind of
So we can just skip the next game,
yes,
right?
Belichick. So the Belichick, the whole Belichick thing. I'm kind of wondering if it was a Tom Brady thing at this point. So that's kind of where I am at on that. So I'm just gonna go with the Steelers. Yep. Next is Falcons at the Rams. It's at the Rams again. So obviously, I'm picking the Rams.
Yeah, I think we're all taking the Rams. I don't
Yeah,
think
everyone's taking the Rams here. The only question is fantasy value.
Let's
Is there
talk about
anybody-
fantasy. So the game itself, the picking of the game, I don't think is interesting on this one.
Agreed.
However, I think the fantasy football in this game is super interesting. I've had a lot of trepidation about starting Darrell Henderson this week.
Really? Why is
Yeah.
that?
Because it seems, according to word on the street, is that Cam Akers was in the doghouse week 1. That's why he didn't get carries.
Okay.
We got a question coming in. Ready?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Should I pick up Mariota as a
That's a good
backup
question.
quarterback?
I definitely want to talk about Mariota right now. I don't.
Wait, finish. Is that the end of the question?
That's
I don't
question.
believe in picking up backup quarterbacks.
Agreed. That's my like alarm bells went off in my head. Like
Yeah.
you do not want to pick a backup quarterback. What you want to do is you want to have your quarterback that you're starting every week, or you want to be streaming. And when you're streaming, you're usually getting rid of the quarterback you have to pick up another one who has a better matchup each week.
Yep.
Like you don't want to be clogging up that roster spot with a second quarterback.
there's
because
one-
that's just too valuable.
Yeah, there's the only this year I made an exception because I just I really want to believe in Trey Lance,
Yeah, Trey Lance is a risk. Yeah.
but
I can see that.
but I didn't enough not to secure him with a backup quarterback that I felt was going to finish top 12 this season.
But even then,
So-
you're doing it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you're going to
yes,
somebody,
and even
right?
then, and like I
Yeah.
said earlier,
That's not a
I s-
permanent thing.
Yes, I said earlier tonight, like I'm gonna go back and forth on Trey Lance and Kirk Cousins until Trey Lance either forces me to cut Kirk Cousins or forces me to cut him.
I like it.
But other than that, no, I don't like to have a backup quarterback. But
I always do.
if you are streaming quarterbacks, Mariota is
a good one
good.
this week.
Not this week.
No, not this week. I thought he had a good one this week.
No, they're playing the Rams. So
okay. Sorry.
they're playing at the Rams.
Yeah.
I would not want to start Mariota this week,
Agreed.
but I thought he was excellent against New Orleans.
Just more than we thought he was going to be.
Now, here's I thought that he played very solid against New Orleans. Now, at the end of the game, he proved to me that he's not the guy. He's just not who he is. You know, he doesn't like take over the end of games. And I think it's the same reason that like Geno Smith is Geno Smith, because like they won that game, against Denver, but he didn't have to win it.
Right.
In situations where Geno Smith has to win the game, I'm betting against the defense. And the same thing is true of Mariota. If Mariota needs to win the game, I'm going to bet on the defense to win the game.
So he has Lance as his primary quarterback.
Yeah, so if you have Lance as your primary quarterback, then
But Mariota, I mean, is that who you want to pick up as your backup? Or
So-
honestly, I think Mariota is a
if you have
streamer.
Lance as your primary quarterback and you didn't draft somebody to start just in case he didn't play well, I don't think there's anybody that there's going to be available on the waiver wire that you want to stream that you can guarantee I want to stream this guy over Trey Lance. I would much rather just start.
Well,
Trey
you're
Lance.
saying nobody that you'd want to have nobody you want to put on your roster as a backup.
Yeah, no, like unless like seriously, unless Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins are available in your league, and if they are, then I would roster them. You probably have someone you can drop, and to guarantee that you have a solid quarterback, because that's important. Like if your quarterback doesn't score you more than 15 points, you're in trouble.
Agreed.
So I picked up Allen Robinson, and we'll get to it in the DraftKings picks. I feel like Atlanta's not going to be doing so good at stopping receivers, and this might be the game they need to just target him until they find a mesh. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Atlanta did. I didn't think that Atlanta necessarily like stopped New Orleans for most of the game. Jameis Winston looked like he needed time to warm up, and he played one of the best fourth quarters I've ever seen.
Oh.
It was like he was, I think he was like 11 for 12 for 150 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. Like he was unbelievably good, and they have good weapons. I think the Rams, having probably not needing to warm up now, are probably just going to like from the gate, they're just going to trash Atlanta.
I hope so.
That's what everybody thinks is going to
I
happen.
think-
That's what Vegas thinks is going to
I
happen.
think they're just going to trash Atlanta. Like the questions to me are about fantasy football. I do think Allen Robinson is going to have a good game. I think,
I think
so
he's
here's
going to
what
have a
happened.
good game
We
because
talked
they
about this.
want to target him. It's
We
like
ta-
we need to get him the ball.
It's
to take
yeah.
some pressure
I
off.
don't think that's why. Here's what I think happened in week 1.
Make sure I'm starting him.
In week 1, they had to play against the Bills, and Stafford did not have time. Stafford also did not participate much in the offseason. So, as awesome as Robinson looked in training camp and stuff like that, Stafford wasn't throwing the ball. So when he was hurried, he went to where he knew he could go. He went to a safety blanket, which is Cooper Kupp. The Falcons are not going to stress him out the way that the Bills did. He's going to have time. I think I expect Allen Robinson to have more than 6 targets. That would be like, if I was going to choose an over-under, I would be very surprised if he had less than 6 targets.
Okay, so we're
And-
we're fairly agreed on that. What about so Cam Akers and Henderson? Like,
That's
what do you think there? That's
I
what
don't know.
everybody
I
wants
don't
to
know. So you were like iffy on the Jeff Wilson situation. I'm more iffy on the Daryl Henderson situation this
and
week.
I've been on Henderson like most of the offseason. Like
I-
I have
so,
him on 3 out of 4 teams.
I dropped him in my dynasty
Oh my god.
for Kyron Williams, and not for Kyron Williams. I dropped him because so my roster at the time had him, Eno Benjamin, and Jeff Wilson, who are all on the roster in my opinion for the same reason. If the number one gets hurt, this is exactly who you want, and they're in like James Conner has trouble staying hurt.
No,
The 40
staying healthy. You
or
mean,
staying hurt. He has trouble staying hurt. I like him.
Staying hurt,
I'd like him
fine.
to stay hurt. That's like withstanding victories.
Right. No, and like, Connor
The dude's
looked
got
great
trouble
last
staying
year.
hurt. He just got trouble staying hurt. Anyway, they're in situations where like they're the next man up, and it's already been iffy whether or not the guy in front of them can hold on to the job, in my opinion. So, but the reason I dropped Daryl Henderson is because of all the buzz about Kyron Williams. Apparently, they love Kyron Williams, and he was supposed to get a bunch of work in the Bills game, but he got hurt on the opening kickoff. He was supposed to get a bunch of work. So, what I think is going to happen is maybe Cam wasn't supposed to get a bunch of work. And like I said, he was the word has come out that he was kind of in the doghouse for something. Mm-hmm. So it's entirely possible that he just wasn't part of the game plan.
Yeah, no, and that would make sense with the usage.
So I would not be shocked to see like a more 50-50 split in this game.
All right, yeah, and we'll see.
And if Cam looks good, Cam could just take the job again.
Very possible, but I think Henderson is very serviceable. I think he's good, not great, and I see him keeping that job because Akers off the Achilles is going to be rough.
I'm just giving lip service here. I'm starting Henderson all over the place.
I am too, including my draft teams lineup.
Yeah, like any like.
Ooh.
Sneak peek. I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing that.
I am.
But yeah. So if you have Daryl Henderson, you are starting him. Don't get cute, you know. But you know, if that happens, also be ready to like maybe pull the trigger on a trade. If somebody was trying to trade you for Daryl Henderson, and you see a bunch of work out of Cam Akers this week, I'd be looking to sell.
Yeah, if I can get a good deal for Henderson, I'd do it. But you have to.
But yeah, you have to feel confident starting him this week.
So the other side on Atlanta, like, are we starting anybody there?
Oh yeah. So
Who?
I am in love with Drake London.
Gesundheit. With who?
Drake London. I just thought he was amazing. And the Saints do really good against number one receivers. And he still put up 5 for 72 in his first NFL game. So if I had Drake London, I'm starting him. And I'm gonna start him every week. Like I think he is gonna be the number one rookie receiver this year.
Interesting. So next game up, Seahawks at 49ers.
Oh, and Patterson. You got to start Patterson. Cordero Patterson.
Do you have to start him this week, or like because most people, if you've got Patterson, he's
Saints
your
are-
he's your third running back.
I
So
would
are
say,
you trying to fit him in there, or are you trying to put him on your bench if you can? Like if you can afford to put him on your bench, do you want him on your bench,
Cordero?
or are you just like trying to slam him in your?
Remember,
in the lineup?
we talked about this, and like a running back who gets 15 touches is just flat out more valuable than all the other receivers. They just are. They just have a higher floor. So like, you're looking at like there's like I think we said I said there's 5 receivers in the NFL that I'm still going to start them over a running back that's guaranteed to get 15 touches, like 5, and that's it.
Okay.
So yes, I'm starting Patterson.
Okay.
Because there's no way you don't have a position to start him. Like you'd have to be absolutely loaded at running back not to start him.
Well, I'm just saying in like just on our team in our league,
Yeah, that's what
which
I'm
is a
saying. team
PPR.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to find room for him.
You should.
Like, you'd rather start him than say McLaurin or Deontay Johnson.
Yes. Yeah.
So not over McLaurin, but over Deontay.
No, both.
like,
I'd start
right
him
in
over
there.
both.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You remove
Against the Rams?
You remove. Yeah, because he's gonna get work. Here's what else. He just did it to the Saints. The Saints have given up.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
The Saints have given up something like 3 100-yard rushers in the last 3 years, and 2 of them were the same guy. And he's the only other person to do it.
Yeah, like I say, that's a tough one, but there you go.
And the Bills gashed the Rams. Like Devin Singletary looked awesome.
Dude, he's looked good against.
And the Bills are
teams.
not a running team. The Falcons are.
First time chatter.
Oh, who we
Dylan
got?
or Sutton for my flex this week.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm all over AJ Dillon. Like, it's tough because you just don't know exactly how many touches he's gonna get. But in a game where they were losing, he had twice as many carries as Aaron Jones, had more targets than Aaron Jones.
In any kind of a PPR league, I like naturally, I think I lean towards Sutton here. But if you look at the game scripts, Denver is looking to be ahead,
And so is Green Bay.
and Green Bay is looking to be ahead, and
So you wanna start the
obviously
running back.
You want to start the running back
Yeah.
there. So, God, I think that's a really close call. I would normally lean towards Sutton, but just this week because of matchups, I think I'd go to Dillon.
This year, I'm super on AJ Dillon this year. I have him all over the place.
So, what's your feeling about Sutton this year, though? Like, because I have really strong feelings about Sutton.
Sutton,
I think he's going to be
like
really
Judy
good.
better.
So you guys,
Sutton?
thank you,
Can I put
Jared.
that on the board?
Yeah,
Season long?
sure.
Yes.
Sutton over Judy, or Judy over Sutton for sure.
Okay, so
Yeah, Judy's the much more talented player.
Jared says,
You gonna-
okay,
okay, cool.
looks good. Okay, good. I'm sorry, I messed that all up. I don't usually do that. Okay, good looks, guys. I'm going Dylan. Thank you, Jared,
Yeah,
for the question.
AJ
and the
Dillon
feedback.
is my right now my running backs are Zeke, AJ Dillon, Jeff Wilson, and Damian Pierce, and I'm starting AJ Dillon and Jeff Wilson.
And he hopes that
AJ
Sutton isn't the guy who gets the early touchdowns.
So Sutton is the guy that Russ looks to when he's in trouble. It seems like it seems like he has a little more trust in Sutton, and I think the reason for that is because Judy has the drops. He does. He just, like, every once in a while he'll drop it.
He didn't drop the one I
And
needed him to drop last week.
But I know, right? He surely did not.
What a
But
jerk.
that's the thing, is Judy is the one who's going to take it to the house. Judy's he's just open more than Sutton is. Sutton's the big body.
So Sutton's going to get most of the work, and he's
I don't
going to be
think he's
the
gonna get-
everyday
no,
guy.
I don't
but
think he's gonna get most of the
Judy's
work.
going to have some explosive weeks.
Oh,
That's
no.
the way I look at it.
Oh, well, you missed it. You missed that one.
That's why we bet on it.
No, that's not accurate.
All right. So where are we at here?
Seahawks at 49ers. I'm going Seahawks
God.
on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I am not.
Yeah.
I can lone wolf this. This is just my hate.
Yeah.
And
This is
honestly,
just my
Vegas-
hatred.
Yeah, I was going to say
This is
Vegas
my
has
hatred.
the Niners by 10.
I think
on
the
this one.
49ers are angry. I think they're going to just destroy the Seahawks.
The Seahawks just aren't that good.
No,
They're just not
they're
good
not.
this year.
They
They're
really
gonna be bad.
that was their Super Bowl. in week
Exactly.
one.
That was their Super Bowl. They played really well.
See
Good
how,
for them.
how happy Pete Carroll
And-
was. He ran up to Russ to shake his hand
Dude,
after the game.
The decisions at the end of that game, everyone's talked
know-
about that at nauseum.
You know
but,
what?
Oh my god!
I don't. Okay,
I got a question.
Hold on one second before we get to the question. Okay. I was really disgusted with Hackett calling timeouts
got two questions.
while they were kneeling down.
Oh, never mind. Only one
That
question.
really bothered me. That was like your 5-year-old brother losing to you in a video game, you know? And
Okay, yeah.
that really bothered me. Okay,
I-
what
Anyway, go ahead.
what
So
are
the
questions?
Joker wants to know who to start at running back and flex position. Jeff Wilson Jr., David Montgomery, Rashad Penny, Chase Claypool. So far, and he has Monty and Jeff Wilson in those slots. 16-team league.
Oh wow.
16-team league. You have an excellent roster, sir.
Right.
Like those are great
Those are
choices.
good
to have
choices
a
for
16
16.
yeah.
My goodness.
So I don't love Penny this week. I'm off of Rashad Penny this week, and I really like what they're doing with Claypool. Claypool had like 6 carries in week 1.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that a
And
lot.
How many were successful?
He's got his roster. You guys want to hear his roster?
You're a Steelers fan. You don't know his line.
No, I don't know his lane.
you-
Because I
do you-
watched and was disappointed.
It was.
Do you
six-
wanna hear his
it was-
roster?
It was 6 carries for 30 something yards. He had 35-ish yards.
Go ahead.
So his roster, he was 16th pick. He has Josh Allen, Jeff Wilson Jr., Debo Samuel, Cortland Sutton, David Montgomery, Zach Ertz, Matt Prater, Chargers defense, and his bench is Ken Gainwell, Irv Smith, Claypool, Jamal Williams, and Penny.
Claypool and Penny.
Wow,
are great
Williams
pieces.
on the bench?
Jamal Williams.
Oh, Jamal. I was thinking of Javante. Okay, yeah. You're right.
And we'll get to Jared. Jared, we'll get you to your bench too, man, or
Yeah,
your team
I really,
as well.
Yeah, I really like Claypool. Yeah, I think honestly, I think he might be the Steelers receiver that ends up with the most fantasy points this year. If they're going to use him like that, because I don't have any confidence in Trubisky's going to end up with like somewhere around 15 touchdowns passing this year,
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the.
and I think most of those are going to go to Freiermuth.
And then Jared over on Twitch, his team is Lamar, Saquon, Javante, JJ Higgins, Pitts, Dylan.
Justin Jefferson.
That's what he put, JJ. Higgins, Pitts, Dylan as of now.
That's good.
And by the way, Joker, I'm going to include a link.
Was
for
there
you.
another question?
No, the question was just. Do you want me to re-ask the question?
I thought there were two. That's the only.
I thought there was two, and it was a
we're good.
comment.
I got.
Okay, the first one though, I didn't get to comment on the flex question.
It was so you're picking. So you're
Wilson.
starting 2 running backs and a flex, right? Is that right? Is that
Who,
what it was?
okay, so who to start at running back and flex?
Yes.
Running
Yeah.
back
Okay.
and flex. Okay.
And by the way, that YouTube link I included is where we're moving next week, and I think we're going to open up that bandwidth of our channel to Facebook possibly next week. So we have to drop one to pick up another, and so we're going to be moving all to the link I just provided. So just so you know, Joker.
So Joker is the guy with 16 team league.
Yes.
Okay. If I were you, I would check my waiver wire and see if Kyle Phillips is available. That's his name. I think that's his name.
Thank you for the follow, Jared.
He's the slot receiver for Tennessee. He looks really good.
I need to
They like him a lot. He returns punts too.
switch my alerts to something more football related.
Production work for the week.
Looking at that, I think Montgomery is the obvious
Yes.
choice for running back, and flex is a tough one between Penny and Claypool.
I like
Sort of-
Claypool this week.
And yeah,
I do. It's a tough matchup because it's the Patriots.
So what a BZ.
But I think-
I
no.
would take Penny for a floor and
But
Claypool for a
I
ceiling.
think Penny. The thing about the Penny play is I think the Seahawks are going to be behind. So I think I think what actually might end up happening is the Seahawks might produce more.
They said that rookie might
Oh,
get some.
okay. So I got
touches,
a
too.
few things for
Kenneth
you guys.
Walker got activated.
Got
So
a few
he-
things for you guys.
Go ahead,
First,
go ahead.
the bench. Jared's bench is Russ Wilson, Landry, Burks, Pierce, Sutton, and Ayuk.
Oh, that's good. I love Treylon Burks.
And then
Sutton on the bench.
Joker in his 16 team league on his I think on his wire he has Burks, Woods, and Phillips are available.
I love Treylon Burks. He shouldn't be on any waiver wires in my opinion.
Especially that deep.
He's the number. Yeah, especially that. He's the number 1 receiver in Tennessee for sure.
You said Woods was out there too.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but I'd leave Woods alone.
Well, he said Burks, Woods, and Phillips are available somehow. So I imagine he's talking about the wire.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, in a 16-team league,
Burks has that.
Treylon
upside.
Burks should definitely not be there. Kyle Phillips is still like that's
see.
that's next leveling everybody.
Yeah.
Like you're holding on to him.
You're hoping.
Yeah, but Treylon Burks, I don't think that's a hope. I think that's win.
And our next question is from Jared. Do we believe in Kyle Pitts?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Especially season long. Yes.
So
absolutely.
last week, what happened was the Saints just rolled all their coverage to Kyle Pitts. They treated him as the number 1 receiver, and that's why Drake London was able to have 5 for 72. But yeah, definitely better days for Kyle Pitts coming soon.
Agreed. Yeah. No. He's going to be good this year. He's top 5 for sure.
Yeah,
Right?
and Mariota looked good in
Top
the game.
5 tight end.
Mariota looked solid, and that would be that would have been the most concerning thing was whether or not Mariota was going to be okay. and we already have a history of Mariota producing.
Being okay.
Well, not just, but Mariota himself being okay, and supporting a top 5 tight end with Delaney Walker.
It's true.
So, I have a lot of confidence in Kyle Pitts.
So since I got a break in the chat, don't forget, you guys, we are also on all the podcast platforms. We are on iTunes and Spotify. Just look for, what are we calling ourselves? These fantasy football theories. It's got a football the shape of a light bulb, So if you ever miss an episode and you want to catch up on it, that's where we're at. And we're currently drinking tequila from Costco. Regular dudes drinking tequila Costco. Let us know what you're drinking. You can put it in the comments because we do want to know.
Usually I like to bring a special bottle, but this week we didn't have time, and so I'm finishing off the Costco because I figure that's an easy one to replace. And
Yeah, it is.
We'll have better in the future. All
All
where
right.
are we at?
So Jared wants to let us know it's good to hear. He hopes it wasn't a third rounder on him, and he's not sure how he got Saquon and JJ in the same draft. His friends are dumb.
Well, to be honest with you,
We got another question too.
I
think I missed.
I did a ton.
Sorry about that.
I don't know how many. So this is that's a
Joker.
6. Was that how many? I don't know how many people are in the league of the guy who has JJ and Saquon, but I did a ton of 10-man drafts and was able to get Saquon Barkley with my 3rd pick.
Wow, with a third.
I have 4 teams that have McCaffrey and Barkley on them.
Honestly, he was one of those guys that I was like targeting. Like, I kind of want him. I think he's undervalued.
Yes.
And I wasn't able to get him anywhere.
I wasn't willing to take him in round. I was not willing to take him before
Why is
round
it
3.
doing that?
And so I have him in a handful of leagues, and in every single one of them, it was round 3 or later.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So we got a question.
Next game. Sorry. Question.
Burks, Woods, and Phillips are available somehow. Who would I drop for Burks?
Can you read his bench back to me?
Let's see here. Bench is Gainwell, Irv Smith, Claypool, Jamal Williams, and Penny.
Irv Smith.
And I'm a guy that's had confidence in Irv Smith, and I have him on a couple of teams, including in our league. And I just dropped him.
Just dropped him
for Komet.
Oh, you definitely do that
on,
though. That
yeah,
when
just on the
so
hope.
Komet, I almost picked Komet up because he shouldn't be there.
Right.
Like, he shouldn't be on the waiver wire. But it's like if I had, like if you have Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, you should not be looking at any other tight ends for any reason.
You only need them
Like,
in certain circumstances.
You'll waiver wire one at your bye week.
Yep.
That's it. And I have in our league, I have Mark Andrews. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't. There's no.
Oh, we got
I
a
can't-
drink comment.
I can't roster Cole Kmet when I have Mark Andrews.
I think
at
it's a drink
fight,
comment.
Yeah.
So the Joker's tried the Mountain Dew hard seltzer. Not bad if you're a fan of Mountain Dew. First time trying it. Baja Blast flavor.
Oh, that sounds good.
All right.
I like Baja Blast. So
See, I'm too old. I go for the more basic flavors, tequila.
Just straight tequila.
just tequila,
But yeah, no, that's cool.
tequila flavored tequila.
So we moving on to the next game.
do
Bengals
it.
and Cowboys at Cowboys.
Oh yeah, finally.
So who do you pick, Ken? I got the Bengals. Even though I hate them, I've got them. Ray?
Cowboys are gonna win
Why?
because they win games like this. And I don't know why they do. They do.
No reason.
Who's the backup
But they
for Cowboys?
do. Like, you can say what you want about the Cowboys. They win a lot of games
But-
that people pick against them.
But they have a backup right
I
now.
know.
I got to go Bengals.
They beat the Vikings with Cooper Rush last year. And not only did they beat them, he like delivered on a game-winning drive. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back and look at that, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Maybe. Bengals are taking a step
If
back.
you notice,
this year.
we're all
But I
kind
don't know
of
about this game.
ignoring Ken on this one and going with the Bengals.
That's fine.
All right, so we got another question. And it doesn't have to be your last question. You can ask as many as you want. Jared, last question. I am crazy for wanting to start Russ over Lamar this week. I don't have the balls to do it, but I want to.
I wouldn't either. Lamar's at home.
Honestly, I think that's a really close one. I think the only argument against Russ is the game script. Just because you expect them to be beating Houston by double digits, they might go to the run game, and Russ might have 200 yards and a touchdown and just not have to do anything else. Baltimore, like I say, dude, they're going against a tough defense in Miami.
I know they are.
I mean, the obvious answer seems to be to start Jackson, but I don't know, man. Like,
I'd start Lamar.
I would toy with Russell there.
So here's what you should do. You should start Lamar, and you should trade Russell Wilson to the Dak Prescott owner.
Honestly, you should trade whichever quarterback
Gets you more
can
value.
get more value.
Yeah,
for.
'cause you can play either
you
of
should
them.
be trading one of those quarterbacks. I agree.
Yeah,
with that.
yes, you should. Now's a great time because Dak just got hurt. Aaron Rodgers had a horrible game, and people
And we'll continue to.
He has a
people tend to
first
flip
horrible
out.
5 games every year.
Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers last year was after week 1. Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback 35. There are 32 teams in the NFL.
Right.
So
But from weeks 2 through 18, he was quarterback 2.
So Jared says he thinks you're right. He agrees with you guys. He also says that he likes having 2 quarterbacks. Anything can happen. Now, Jared, I have the same mentality you do, but I have to say, of the 3 of us, I am the rookie at draft or at fantasy football. So take that for what that's worth.
So what happens sometimes, if you're gonna have a backup quarterback, like having 2 top flight quarterbacks isn't necessarily a bad strategy. Like if you remember 2 years ago in our league, Steve drafted. He had Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady on his roster.
Okay.
And come week 10, he was able to sell Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers.
So he held on to 3 quarterbacks for 10
He did.
weeks.
He did.
For 10
he
weeks.
Did. I'm
Audience, that is something I do not recommend.
No, don't, and you jumped in front of me on that because I was just gonna say I would never do that.
Right.
However, he turned him into value. He eventually turned him into value. So,
And if
but
you think you can do
that's
that in the
the
first
only
3
reason
weeks?
to have an extra quarterback on your roster. It's the only reason to
Yeah.
have an extra tight end on your roster. Somebody was just talking about. They had Kyle Pitts fall to them in round 6, of a draft, and they already had Mark Andrews. But it's you can't, it's sometimes
much value there.
Too much value. You can't pass them up.
He feels like he has a strong team, but maybe he needs a better flex.
You have Russ and Lamar on your team. That means that somewhere in the first 9 picks, you took 2 quarterbacks. If we're talking snake drafting, so your team definitely could either use another receiver or running back. It's just there's no way that you don't. You might have 2 good running backs and 3 good receivers, but there's no way that you have 3 good running backs and 4 good receivers, which is where you want to be in fantasy football because you're going to have bye weeks and you're going to have injuries. And the quarterbacks, you can stream them.
Yep.
Your quarterback gets hurt, the Dak Prescott managers. If I was the Dak Prescott manager, I would not be trying to buy someone else's quarterback. I wouldn't panic. I would just try
Stream away.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. It takes a few weeks before you quote unquote know who the best streaming quarterbacks are, but you'll get there. So I don't have a whole lot of I don't put a whole lot of value into having a backup quarterback unless I can trade him. And the guy across from me right now, you did this last year. You had Lamar and you had Matthew Stafford, and I was telling you forever you need to trade one of those guys.
Yeah, you did. You were.
And then it came time, and the only reason he held on to Matthew Stafford.
I played him most of the time.
No. Let me see. You held, and it was Lamar. You held on to Lamar because you wanted to start Lamar during Matthew Stafford's bye.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I don't remember. He did terrible, I'm guessing.
Well, he was in street clothes.
Oh.
Oh, he was injured?
So
Oh, I do think I
So
remember having
he
to
had-
trade one
so-
away and pick
so
some
he
random.
had he had Matthew Stafford, and Stafford was a great start all year long last year, and for the value, if that was your only quarterback, you did really great because that means you drafted a bunch of receivers before then, and if instead of Lamar, which is like a round 5 quarterback, we do a salary cap draft, so it's different, but for most snake drafters, Lamar Jackson is a round 6 quarterback. And so that's a premium wide receiver that you're giving up there, or a top flight tight end that you're giving up there. And so, anyway, you had this guy on your roster with the intent to start him in like week 10 or something like that.
Yeah, whatever the bye week
It
was.
And then week 10 rolls around, and he doesn't get to start him because Lamar Jackson's injured. And it's you. And
I think I had to trade him away or something. I can't remember.
To your point, you like to keep a backup quarterback on the bench because you never know what can happen. You never know what can happen. So you want to have as many good depth pieces as you can. And the quarterbacks unless you're playing a super flex league or you're in a 16-man league, they're just not as highly sought after. Because it's like all the way down to quarterback 14 is a startable guy.
Well, then I hope Tom Brady does really good, and then I can throw him out in the market. It's week 3.
I would sell Mahomes. That's the thing is you keep the serviceable one, you keep the serviceable quarterback, and you sell the
top
one
man.
that's worth a premium piece. Because you're not going to be able to trade Tom Brady for you're never it doesn't matter how good Tom Brady does, you're not going to be able to sell him for a Darnell Mooney or a Mike Williams or something like that. But Lamar Jackson, you can. Lamar Jackson has
a little extra,
that ceiling where sometimes not even that. If you happen to come across a team that has that.
No, I'm saying you can get a little extra besides.
Oh yeah, yes,
Yeah,
that I
You
agree
get
with.
more
That
for
I
Lamar
agree with.
Jackson,
Yes.
Comment and question. First comment: he has 3 good running backs and only has 3 good wide receivers, unless Burke ends up being good later on. The question: so this is in his words, Jared. So should I try trading Russ and a guy like Ayuk or Burks for a better wide receiver?
I don't think
If
I would.
So,
Burks
which
doesn't have
guys should I
value yet.
target?
Burks doesn't have value yet, and I think Ayuk had more valuable was more valuable last week before the. So
Before
you
he did
kind
nothing.
of have to wait. It just sucks because
His principle is right, though.
Yes.
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 And something to get
a better piece. Yes.
So I agree with your
I
principle.
love trading 2
Your
for 1.
timing is a
Yeah.
little off right now, but yes.
Yeah.
Trading 2 for 1 to get a better piece is almost always the way
But
to go.
still, I would try in that scenario. I would rather play Russ and trade Lamar because you can get more for Lamar than you can for Russ.
Agreed.
Ooh,
All right. So where are we at here? Broncos,
Texas at Broncos.
Okay. So are we all taking Broncos?
We're done with the Cowboys game. We didn't even talk about that game.
Do we need to?
So yeah, well, just for a couple of things, because there's people that are listening and they want fantasy football advice.
Yep.
So
And that's why I think
About
we should
Dallas?
start including
So,
the Thursday game too. By the way,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Don't run away from CeeDee Lamb. Don't run away from Zeke. If you have, unless you
Well,
have
To clarify, run away a little bit.
A little bit.
You
A little bit.
You don't expect what you did before, but you're saying that they're still startable.
Honestly, with Zeke, it's now CeeDee Lamb. The thing that worried me most is that he turned 11 targets into 2 catches last week. That's the thing that worries me the most. He's gonna get the targets. That's gonna keep happening. So until I would keep starting him until it's just like a perpetual thing, because it's like 11 targets for him to only have 2 catches is kind of an anomaly.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't expect the floor to drop out on CD. If anything, it might. He's.
We've probably seen the floor.
If anything,
I will definitely give you that.
he is my favorite buy low this week.
Okay. I can
Everybody,
see that.
everybody's down on him.
Because people are so down
and-
on him, it is a good week to buy.
And now I don't want to buy low on Zeke because we don't know exactly what the offense is going to do. But the expectation is that they're going to lean on the run more. We'll see. I'm going to wait and see on Zeke. I'm not starting him this week in our league. I'm starting Jeff Wilson and A.J. Dillon over him.
And listeners, this is the optimistic Dallas fan.
Yes,
so keep that in mind.
I'm a Cowboys fan.
it's the home.
But definitely starting CeeDee Lamb. Definitely starting Dalton Schultz. Both of those guys are going to start. And then on the other side, Mixon's going to crush it.
Mixon's going to be great. I mean,
I think Mixon's
You start
just
every.
gonna
I mean,
crush
you
it.
start Burrow, you start Mixon, you start Chase, you start Higgins. I mean, and if Higgins is
And
out,
also,
you got to start. What's his name?
Hayden
in the
Hurst
slot.
too. You start Hayden Hurst, I think. He's
Yeah,
he's a tight end.
He's a startable tight end.
Yeah, he's a startable
He's
tight
not
end.
a must start, but he's
Yeah,
he's startable.
So I would rather be starting Hayden Hurst than say Cole Kmet this week.
Tyler Boyd is the name avoiding me there. Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd, yeah.
If Higgins is
doesn't-
out,
even if
Boyd
Higgins,
is going
even
to
if
be good.
Higgins plays though, Tyler Boyd just kind of does his thing.
Well,
He's-
he's always there.
he's
He's always a
flex-worthy.
danger. But when Higgins or Chase is out, Boyd all of a sudden is great.
Oh yeah,
Just saying.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so moving on.
Would you
Moving
do
on.
Russ and Ayuk if Ayuk has a good week for St. Brown?
Oh, if
Yes.
you could do Russ and I would just do that now.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Like
absolutely.
if
I
you have a
love
chance
St.
to
Brown.
do that, please do that.
Yeah,
yes.
Monroe St. Brown is a
That's exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what you're trying to
Yes.
do. Yes.
good job.
Are we moving on? Texans at Broncos?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay. I'll lead off with the Broncos. I'm going Broncos.
Yeah,
on this
Broncos,
game.
Broncos.
I'll pick the
Texans?
Broncos. I'll pick
Oh, come on. All right. So all Broncos. So it's just fantasy value. And we've talked about this quite a bit, actually, kind of going through things, is that Russ and Sutton are great plays, and Judy are good plays, but maybe not this week because of the game script is going to be going the other way. They might be a little bit more heavy on the running game. I think Gordon actually has a chance of having a really good week this week. If they're ahead by a bunch, Gordon could be the only one in there in the fourth quarter. So yeah, Gordon, Williams start for sure. Everybody else, if you have somebody better, go ahead. But otherwise, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I really like that take on Gordon in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter. It's definitely.
And then what
thing.
about Houston on the other side? What do you think about Houston?
Ooh, man. I think that starting a 32-year-old running back in 2022 is not smart.
What year is it smart?
Well, hey, Otis Anderson led the Giants in 1990 to a Super Bowl.
Thanks for that hot stat. Jeez.
How old was Jerome Bettis in 2005? Right? Because that was his retirement year. That was the
2005?
yeah best.
God, I'm old.
Yeah,
All right.
Jerome Bettis was about the same age. I believe Jerome Bettis was drafted in '94 because I want to say he was a Los Angeles Ram before they moved to St.
Yeah,
Louis.
he was.
Before they moved back to St. Louis,
Yeah.
and then he finished his career in 2005, and he was the leading rusher of that team. Like they had Fast Willie Parker, but if they needed 1 yard, they were giving it to Jerome Bettis. And he was the finisher.
You know that our boy Warren is a cousin of Fast Willie Parker?
what?
That Warren, the free agent that not free agent, but the non-drafted rookie.
Jalen Warren.
What did I say?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
Oh,
Jared.
anyway, Jalen
so
Warren.
Yeah.
since you're new,
But anyway, cousins. I thought that was hilarious. I was like,
That
oh
is
my
funny.
god.
That is funny.
since you're new to our podcast stream, just to give you a little bit of a background, we have a Steelers fan homer, a Rams fan homer, and a Cowboys fan homer.
Yep.
And Brian is your Steelers fan homer. So if you have like a little bit more Steelers related questions, you would obviously probably lean to him because he probably pays a little bit more attention to that team
Sometimes.
than the other two of us.
Last year was an exception. They were hard to watch last year.
Dude, it was Big Ben's swan song.
Yeah. Goodbye, Ben. Glad to see you go, buddy. I mean, like, he was great for a long time, but the last 2 or 3 years, man.
Yeah, sometimes it's good.
we were ready to move on.
Sometimes you want to give him that farewell cake.
Yeah, he
See you
got it.
later.
All right, so where are we at here? Let's see.
Well, if we're moving off of Texans and Broncos, we are at Cardinals at the Raiders, and I'm going with the Raiders on this one.
I'm sorry, just Texans. We didn't really get valuable pieces. I mean, Cooks is really the only one I want to start off the Texans. Is there anybody else you want to start?
I don't even like.
You don't
doing
even
that.
like Cooks?
No.
Okay.
Because I don't think. I don't like
Cooks
his.
is your best startable option.
I don't
and
like
even Ken
his
is like,
prospects
"Eh."
at scoring a touchdown this week.
Yeah, but his prospects of getting 15 fantasy points is pretty good, right?
12.
Okay, well,
I'd say 12 is
all
pretty
right.
good.
I mean, that's it's a good.
So
floor. It's a
here's the
good spot
thing.
to
So
be.
let's talk about Brandon Cooks for a second, because he's one of the I'm a Brandon Cooks fan, but he I think bothers me the most out of any fantasy player this year.
We have another
Because
question, I think, from a new viewer.
Brandon Cooks is what Brandon Cooks is at this point. Like he's 12 points. You can guarantee him for 12 points, but he's never going to be 35.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
You're never getting that.
I have him on my bench, and that's why he's on my bench.
And you're
That
almost
exactly.
never getting 25. Like he's not even he's not even that guy. Like his ceiling is like 18 to 20 points.
He's 10
you know?
to 18 points every week.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
it,
him.
right. So I did not understand why so many fantasy football experts this year were like Brandon Cooks in round 4, Brandon Cooks, and
yeah, no
and they were, dude. Like I'm talking about like the footballers. I'm talking about the CBS guys, the ESPN guys. Everybody pushed Brandon Cooks up this year. Everybody, and
He's
like
that guy you want to have as your number one on
like
your bench.
Like,
You know what I mean?
yes,
He's your
you're
number
like
one on your bench.
as soon
That's
as
what you
as soon as the buys start coming up and I got to start somebody else, throw Brandon Cooks in there. Yeah,
exactly,
because I don't have to worry about it. He's going to get me the 10, 12
That's
points.
how I see him too.
Right? So yeah, I didn't understand spending a 4th round draft pick on that
No,
guy.
fourth is ridiculous.
Like even to me, that guy doesn't get drafted in the first 7 rounds. Like you shouldn't. Like rounds 1 through 7, you are looking for guys that are going to blow up here and there at least. And like the first 3 rounds, you want guys that are like 15 points every single week. And then after that, you want guys that can have a ceiling. You know, like Jamar Chase was a 7th round draft pick last year. Like
that's funny now.
Deebo Samuel was an 8th round draft pick last year. Like you're looking for ceiling. So I didn't understand pushing him like 30 spots in front of those type of guys. Because like you ask me, and like Brandon Cooks, I'd rather have Drake London. I'd rather have Chris Olave. I'd rather have Jahan Dotson. I like these are, and because of where you had to, like where you got him and what you're expecting from him. Whereas the other guys, like they could just massively blow up and become the best target on their team and become guys that threaten 30 points every week.
So our
And
question,
Cooks isn't going to do that.
our question from Dylan: how long till Breece Hall becomes a weekly start in a 14-team league?
14. Wow.
That's a really good question. We debated this earlier, and like after watching week 1, I was so impressed with Michael Carter. Just unless he gets hurt, I just don't think that Breece Hall is going to be able to take enough work away from him this year to blow up the way that people want Breece Hall to blow up. I don't. I don't think Breece Hall is going to be better than a flex start this year, unless Michael Carter gets hurt.
And I'll tell you, I just don't have a strong take on that. Like, rookies are always tough, and
Rookie running backs are
with
super
the
tough.
Jets, it's like, oh my god, it takes it to another level.
Typically,
I was
rookie running
not-
backs that don't get drafted. Typically rookie running backs that don't get drafted in the first round and don't get work right away don't have successful rookie campaigns. They just don't. They just don't get enough work.
And I was not impressed with Carter last year, but he did get better as the year went on. And like I say, I didn't watch last week's game. Ken is
Explosive.
impressed with him, and that means something to me. So, that honestly, just what Ken says makes me a little bit more leery on Breece Hall. So, if you can find somebody that really likes his upside, maybe trade him, or be willing to wait 3 or 4 weeks or more.
I would wait. I would wait because that is once because so as good as Michael Carter looked, he's still a 4th round draft pick.
Right. Which is why I was like, but I trust your judgment on that. So.
It's just I was surprised
Yeah.
when I watched it. I stayed away from both of those guys in draft season because I just didn't know what was going to happen, and I know that Michael Carter put up numbers at the end of last year, and typically teams don't just stop giving guys that produce the ball. So and then after watching week 1, he looks too good to not give him the ball. So I just
So hopefully that helps, man. Wait and see, but definitely wait a couple more weeks.
I wouldn't want to sell low on Breece Hall.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Cardinals at the Raiders. I'm going Raiders on this one.
Me too.
Would you, another question just came in from
Raiders all the way,
Lucas
so I'll get those
Blakemore.
up there.
Lucas, I think, is new viewer. Would you all start Bateman or London as a replacement for Pittman? I'm leaning towards Bateman.
I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm fanboying over Drake London this week. He looked so good in the Saints game. He looked awesome. He was open a lot. Like he looked like he looked comfortable with the ball in his hands, running in the middle of the field. Like,
Okay, but everybody can agree on that. But look at all the targets in that offense. Whereas Baltimore,
that's what
Bateman might be the only target.
But no, he's
So,
not.
well, besides Andrews.
What are you talking about?
Andrews, of course. but-
Duvernay scored twice.
Okay. I mean, if you have confidence there, cool. But
I don't. It's not that I don't have confidence in the Ravens' passing game outside of Mark Andrews at this point.
right.
It's
hard to have confidence anywhere else.
until
You're right about that.
okay. So far in Lamar Jackson's career, no receiver other than Mark Andrews has produced on a consistent basis. Like Hollywood Brown was boom bust.
Right. And he had some
And
really
and
boom
listen,
games.
I traded for, and maybe I'm low on Hollywood Brown because I traded for him last year at week 6 or week 7 or something like that, and thought I was getting a steal, and thought I was getting a guy who was on the rise, and he just it just didn't happen. It was week after week after week of just inconsistent amounts of targets. And I don't, and after him not getting targets from Kyler Murray, his bestie,
Right.
Maybe that's a Hollywood Brown problem, and maybe Rashad Bateman will get those targets. I don't want to say that he won't. I'm just not ready to bet on that. I would much like Drake London pulled 7 targets in his first NFL game. He is
with competition around him.
well.
And-
You
and-
say no. Well, hold on. That's the thing though. Is that
that?
he doesn't. It's like Drake
Michael
London.
Thomas is not.
Drake London's a Falcon.
Oh, what were you were talking Saints earlier.
No, the question. This is a question. The question was.
Sorry. Oh, my bad.
Okay, he doesn't have Pittman this week,
Yeah.
and the question is, should he start Drake London, or should he start Rashad Bateman? And I said that I'm the wrong person to ask because I think fantasy.
Ooh, we got 2 more
the
questions.
fantasy
They're
world
backing up.
is going to say that you should go with Bateman because he was the higher draft capital and he did score a touchdown in week 1. So I think that I don't think that the fantasy world is like where I'm at on Drake London. I think that Drake London has a huge ceiling.
For the season or for this game?
Every game. I just do. He looks like that guy. He looks like he's a really good receiver, and I
just want to throw out there for this week, I think I'd pick Bateman, just because I think the Rams are going to just absolutely shut down the Falcons. But
so
that's where I'd go this week.
the
but
Dolphins have
overall, I think
the Dolphins
I'd
have
agree with your take.
one of the best secondaries in the NFL.
We'll get to your
Like,
guys' questions in the
they have
order of the
2
timestamp.
All-Pro level corners.
I'm trying to manage it that
They've
way.
got Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. Whereas the Rams have Jalen Ramsey, and I think the Rams are going to use Jalen Ramsey the way that the Saints used Marshawn Lattimore last week, and they're going to put him on Pitts.
Okay, so
agree
we're
with
backed up 3 questions now.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so first question, I'm going to do this in the order of the timestamp, you guys. So here we go. Dylan McKee.
What's up, Dylan?
When backfield becomes backfield. Okay, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Yeah, no. When backfield becomes healthy, almost all options other than Andrews are hard to start. Wait, no, that wasn't the question. Wait, would y'all start Bateman or Lynn? No, okay, no, that was just a comment. All right, next one. Hey guys, DK or Julio in standard scoring? And that's from Sketchmaster, first time viewer.
He said
Thank you.
non-PPR. Non-PPR, you're looking at yards and you're looking at possibility for touchdowns.
So it's DK.
Huh?
Wait,
I just
hold on. Did I ask? Would y'all start Bateman or London?
You did.
Okay,
and,
okay.
And that's I think Brian and the fantasy community at large would tell you Rashad Bateman. Me personally, I like Drake London.
And I'm saying that for this week, yes, that is what I would do. And for future weeks, I might go the other way. But for this week, I agree.
Next question.
Yeah.
Josh Canby, he's back. Adam Schefter says Kamara probably won't play. Should I play Mark Ingram
Absolutely.
or Jeff Wilson?
wow.
Mark Ingram, because there isn't anybody else that the Saints are going to lean on. Whereas, like we talked about this earlier, as much as confident as I am in Jeff Wilson, there is a world that exists
Non-PPR.
There's a world that exists where Jeff Wilson splits carries with like Ty Davis Price or with Jordan Mason. I don't think Mark Ingram is going to split carries with anybody.
Well, here's the deal.
They brought in Latavius Murray.
I'm just saying, we've established on this show how much I hate Jeff Wilson. I would start Jeff Wilson here.
Thank you, Sketch Hamster, for the follow.
I would start Jeff Wilson here over Ingram. I think that the Tampa Bay defense is fantastic against the run. The reason why you're willing to start Kamara here is his receiving ability, which Ingram just doesn't have at this stage of his career. I would have zero confidence in Ingram at this point, especially in this game. Like if we're playing like a low-level opponent, maybe, but one of the best run defenses in the NFL, we assume,
Traditionally, they get like
last year and this and that, but
Zeke averaged 5 yards a carry last week.
I'm just I would go
just saying,
the other way.
So Zeke was 10 for 53 last week. Last year, Zeke was, I want to say it was something like 16 for 30 something.
But you also said that was all in the first quarter before things got started, and he looked great. And then all
No,
of a
not
sudden,
before things got started. It was before their
before somebody got
offensive
hurt,
line
right?
injury. And the Saints don't have the Saints don't have the offensive line issues that the Cowboys have, and the Cowboys were able to move the ball on the ground.
I have zero faith in Mark Ingram. So there you go. Sorry to provide zero help, but one person on each side.
Yeah, that's
go with who you agree with there.
Yeah,
Hey, and that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen.
I don't think I have Jeff Wilson in a lot of spots, and I'm not going to, after this podcast is over, like go and pick up Mark Ingram everywhere and start him over Jeff Wilson. So, like, if you have to make a roster move to get Ingram onto your roster, and you already have Jeff Wilson, just start Jeff Wilson.
Good point.
So, Cardinals at Raiders?
Is that where we were?
There's not one more question.
And we all went Raiders.
No,
there.
it was a comment.
Yeah, so we're good
Okay,
there.
cool.
So we all went Raiders.
We did.
And Cardinals are just looking bad. They have some good pieces you can start fantasy-wise, but I
mean,
think Raiders are going to take it.
The Cardinals, you're going to start. Obviously, you start Hollywood Brown, and you're like me. I'm hopeful. This guy's super confident. I
like him a lot.
I would be hopeful that Hollywood Brown has a good game. I'm not confident on the Cardinals side. I'm confident the Raiders will put up a bunch of points.
But everyone's taking Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to see something out of Lance before I start,
What?
not Lance.
Murray?
Yeah, no. Yeah, Murray. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Like I don't know what the Cardinals offense is doing, because they don't have all their weapons right now, and so they're most
And Raiders had a competitive game
the
last
best.
week.
Yeah, there was a lot of people thought they were going to pull that one out. The Chargers were going to charge her, and then they didn't. But I don't understand why they're not attacking with Kyler Murray more. Like he himself is a weapon, and maybe they're afraid he's going to get hurt, because he has the last 2 years he's gotten hurt, and they've been awful after he's gotten hurt. So maybe
our beer stack.
maybe their philosophy is changing on how they want to use him. And if that's the case, I'm fading the Cardinals offense.
So Josh just wants to say thanks again. I'm already down Pittman and now Kamara, so that's fantasy for you.
Yep. You gotta love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember last year, all year long, you're like, that's fantasy. That's fantasy. That's fantasy.
Crazy stuff happens all the time. You gotta be ready.
So I guess
Pivot.
we could wait for Brian to come back. Brian had to take a step out, so you guys can. Well, we might as well just plug.
Well,
right?
we're down to primetime games. I think.
No, we still got Chicago and Packers,
That's a primetime
but
game.
with Brian not
So
here for the moment,
Those are 2 Monday night games.
yeah. Oh, okay. So that's the Sunday. Yeah,
Yes.
gotcha. So just everywhere, FYI, everybody, we are on iTunes and Spotify. You guys can download us and check us out if you miss an episode. We typically do this Friday night. We had to make an exception this week. It was my fault, so we had to do it on Saturday. But we target Friday night, right? Everybody gets home from work, kicks their shoes off, and we try to get started somewhere between 6 and 8 is usually where we try to get started. But we are all working men, so we get started when we can. You know what I mean? So let us know what you're drinking. We'll let you guys know what we're drinking, and feel free to check us out. Again, we're going to move over our channel. Our YouTube channel is going to move over to Fantasy Football Theories. So if you're watching us on the Clouded Jester channel, it's going to move over to the Fantasy Football Theories. We'll still be streaming on Twitch, but we're going to try to free up that broadband for Facebook or some other streaming application. So that's what we're going for here. So we got another question from a first-time viewer.
Also, real quick, if you want to follow us personally, you can follow me, Ken Against the Clock, on Instagram, or Mr. Goodbet on Twitter.
And I'm going to try to get those posted up under our webcams soon, so you guys could just constantly see it. Huh?
See it all the time.
You see it all the time. But we'll still have to make that plug for the podcast listeners only.
It's just good to do. Like, we should start doing it at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah. First time chat from viewer Rainmaker Aaron, Daryl Henderson, or Terry McLaurin.
Henderson.
I think so.
Depends on the scoring format. Is it full PPR?
So-
Is it half PPR?
That's a good. That actually, I agree with that. And if we're talking about full PPR,
Probably go
it's-
McLaurin
it's,
there.
It's you know what yes, most situations I would say no. This week, I think I really think that Commanders Lions
Full
game
PPR.
has a chance to be the highest scoring game of the weekend. The Lions offense looked really good, and their defense looked really bad. So that would be the reason why I would want to start Terry McLaurin over Henderson. But we just talked about this.
Yeah.
In scenarios where you expect a running back to get 15 carries, you should start that guy. Like, it is almost impossible to have more than 3 guys on your roster that are going to carry the ball 15 times a game. So you just start all of them.
And I'll tell you, I love both of those guys. I'd love to see, like, who are you, like, who like, can you not fit both of them in? Like,
And
are
I'm
you
sorry,
starting
Jared. I
over
missed
them?
your question. I missed Jared's question too. He wants to know what happened to Pittman.
Quad injury.
yeah, quad.
Okay. And then we have another question over here. Ed Seat, need one full PPR. David Montgomery, Adam Thielen, or Allen Robinson?
I think I still take Montgomery there. Like, the other two are good, could outscore him, but Montgomery has too high a floor and a decent ceiling. I think Montgomery is the obvious pick there.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think we're caught up on the questions. Great
All
questions,
right.
guys.
Yeah, dude,
Thank you, guys.
I love
Great
the
question.
questions tonight. Thank you so much, everybody.
so
Like,
much fun.
seriously, like, I really, really enjoy them. All right, where are we at? Green
Bears
Bay.
at Packers.
And this is like a 10-point spread for Vegas. It doesn't seem like it should be that big because, like, honestly,
Aaron Rodgers owns the Packers, dude. He
Bears.
owns the Bears. I know what you're saying, but
the Packers and the Bears.
yeah.
Well,
same.
I mean, people own the Packers. Actually, they're private. They're publicly owned. But
So, yeah, okay, we're getting okay. So, do we feel that Pittman's going to be out for a long time? And then there's one
No.
more question after that, I think.
no, like it was really iffy on whether or not he was going to play this week.
right. I would expect him to play next week,
Yeah.
and if he doesn't play next week, definitely the week
NFL
after.
teams are just getting more okay with not playing guys week in, week out. It's changed a lot. Like 20 years ago, he would have played.
All right, so here we go. I think this one's a comment, so I'm going to read it first. It's a 6-man league.
Whoa.
If I put Henderson in a running back slot, replace CMC or Fournette, if I put McLaren in a wide receiver slot, he'd replace Debo or Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's interesting. Man, because I think McLaurin and Amon-Ra St. Brown are closer than McLaurin and Henderson.
Okay.
Like I would say the highest ceiling has to be on McLaurin of those 3 players, but I think your safest play is Henderson.
Any thoughts on that, Brian? before we move on to the
I
next
kind of
question?
agree with his assessment
Okay.
on that one. Yeah, I would go McLaurin personally, but yeah, if you're going for a floor, I'd go Henderson.
This guy has Terry McLaurin every year, so
I am biased towards McLaurin.
So
I think he's amazing and has not had a quarterback yet.
I
but we'll see.
agree. And like I was disappointed to see like his just like lack of targeting in week 1.
I was too.
That was the thing that bummed me out.
But it's
about
week
it.
1.
Yeah.
So our next question, Packer Rabin wants to know, who do you guys think I should start at running back with Kamara out in full PPR league? Brees Hall, Dobbins, Pierce, or Stevenson?
Brees Hall.
Oh, thank you for the follow, Etsy.
Yeah, I'd start Brees Hall. He's gonna. Cause the only thing you're worried about with Brees Hall is that his ceiling is capped as long as he's sharing time with Michael Carter, but he looks awesome.
Yeah, your options are not great there, honestly. Like Brees Hall is not somebody that I want to start this week, but given the
but he's-
options that you
he's-
gave
he's
us,
out.
I
Like, he's
think
missing-
you're
he's
probably
missing a guy,
right.
so
Yeah,
he
I
doesn't
think
have a
that's the way to
choice.
go. But man, ugh.
Yeah, and the game's gonna be close enough. I don't think you have to worry about that. I think the Browns are gonna blow out the Jets.
And
I-
hang on
I
to
just-
Dobbins.
I just
Like
don't-
Dobbins is going
Yeah.
to be amazing in 2
And
weeks.
so I'll tell you what.
I've been trying to trade for him everywhere.
Honestly, if it comes out that Dobbins is going to play on Sunday, I think I'd rather roll the dice and play Dobbins than Brees Hall because I think he has a better chance of
Honestly,
scoring a touchdown.
I'm pretty sure Dobbins is playing this weekend. Like
If he
is
plays,
playing.
like you watch out for Sunday morning. If Dobbins plays, you play Dobbins.
Really?
I would.
See, I'm assuming that he plays, but that he only gets.
I'm assuming
eight
that he
to 10
doesn't play. I'm
carries.
still assuming he doesn't play.
Okay, so I think he will play.
I
This
still
week.
think we're.
he's
Gonna,
gonna
I still
get
think we're
eased
Sunday
in,
morning.
though.
I still think we're going to get a Sunday morning, notification that says that they're officially ruling him out.
And like I say, as an owner, I hope so. Like I kind of want him to wait
Yeah.
and
Oh
get
yeah.
rested
Yeah.
up.
Me
but
too.
We'll
yeah.
see.
Let him get healthy. But yeah, if he plays, I would much rather. If he plays, then obviously they have confidence in him, and I have more confidence in him than any of the other running backs you listed. Like
Yeah.
I would. Over,
That's an obvious statement. I hope.
yeah.
Yeah, those other running backs.
I don't care.
running
I don't.
backs
Yeah,
are
if they're
horrible.
if they're gonna run him out there, I don't really care what percentage health he's at. It's like he's much more dangerous than
he's
the
the
other
man,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Jared feels Dobbins has the most upside, and he'd play him.
Yep. I agree.
Back to
I
Packers.
would next week, but
Back to Packers in Chicago. The weird thing I feel about this game is, if it was at Chicago, I feel like I'd be rooting for the Pack. Like I think the Packers would have like a better chance. I think they're still going to win, but I think Chicago it just wants to lights out. Aaron
I wish it was in
Rodgers
Chicago
in
because I
his
can't wait
home
to see what
turf.
happens when Rodgers goes back to Chicago after the
That's what I mean. Yes, that's what I mean.
after
Like,
the I own you.
yeah, that's why I feel
still own
like that's
you.
why I feel like Chicago's going to go over there and want to punch that dude in the mouth.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder like they're going to play harder.
So Chicago. So this is one of those. This is a classic like team riding high. About to get run over by a bus. Because
Oh, okay.
I so want to disagree with you because I really do not like the Packers in general this year. Like I think they're just not going to be what everybody.
I think they're fine.
But yeah,
Honestly,
against Chicago,
Here's-
I think you're right.
Okay, when you have a great quarterback, like and Aaron Rodgers is a generationally great quarterback.
Agreed.
The receivers typically don't matter that much. Like Peyton Manning
just have
and
to
Tom
be
Brady
decent,
and,
yeah.
and Drew Brees, they threw touchdowns to whoever. Didn't matter. Didn't
But
matter.
is Lazard decent? Like he has zero
I like him.
draft capital.
I like him.
Like what round draft pick was he? 6, 7
That doesn't seem to matter because they
for a receiver.
no okay. Name for me Aaron Rodgers' top 5 receivers.
We'll get to
that
your
that he's
question
had
here in a second.
in his career.
Let's see. Jordy Nelson, Cobb.
Where did they get drafted? Where was Jordy Nelson drafted? He's undrafted. Where did Randall Cobb get drafted? He's a 5th rounder.
So
Okay.
we got a question.
Point
The
Go ahead.
the best that he's ever had draft capital was Devontae in round 2.
So
Christian Watson's
Which
a
he
higher
targeted the heck out of,
Christian
yeah.
Watson's a higher draft pick than Devontae Adams. Just
Jake-
saying.
Okay,
Just
okay.
saying.
I mean, that's something to throw into the ether there, but
Like James Jones was off the street.
oh, yeah.
Greg Jennings.
James Jones was a nobody.
Greg
Like,
Jennings.
He was just there. Anyway,
So Jacob Ander, Michael Thomas, or Deontay Johnson in PPR?
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. And like I say, I'm a Steeler fan.
Yep.
Like I love.
He's a
I
Steeler
love
fan who
Johnson.
has Deontay Johnson on his roster.
Yes. And honestly, I'm trying to leave him on my bench. So there you go.
Yep. Yeah.
Also,
he's-
Jared wants to know if we picked the Steelers to win. So what are Steelers?
Ray and I did.
Yeah, so we were split
two
on
of
that
us
one.
did. One of us did not.
Yeah.
The guy wearing
Some moron over
the
here.
guy wearing the guy wearing the good jersey over here.
So and I think I have up there our current score right now for the week 949.
We don't need to talk
So-
about that.
Hey, correct that, please. It's 939.
3. I only got 3 right.
Oh.
939. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I was especially stupid last week.
No disagreement here. All right.
So yeah, the Packers are gonna roll, right?
Oh God, I don't think they're gonna roll, but
I think they're gonna
can't-
roll.
I can't pick against them.
I think they're gonna roll. I don't think the Bears have anything for them.
So the Giants, we went.
I
let me
think-
see here.
I think the Bears got saved by the weather last week.
I'm saying if we're
Again,
betting
we
against
went
the
2-1.
line, I take if we're betting against the line,
It's right
I'd
over
take
here.
Chicago in the points. But
Can we bet on that?
yeah,
So Panthers and
I'll give you the points.
Green Bay minus 10.
Yeah.
All right, put it on the board. All right.
you're in a pick poll and you got 9 last week. Okay, so
There we go. We found one.
so
Another one.
the Panthers and the
You
Giants.
should draw a line or something.
I'm
we get,
sorry.
like, the weekly ones.
Yeah, I'll put a weekly up here.
Ken and I picked Panthers and Brian went Giants. So there you have it.
Yep. Brian went crazy.
But yep,
No,
that's
like,
where we are. That's
those are two teams that aren't making the playoffs this year. The Giants and Panthers. They're not.
okay. So I'm picking Packers. Are you picking Packers?
Oh yeah.
Brian, where are you at with the
Brian's
Packers?
going to pick the Packers, but he doesn't believe the Packers are going to win by 10 points. So Brian and I are going to side bet. We're going to drink bet that I say the Packers are going to win by 10 plus points.
What drink are you guys putting up on this?
Not a Bowmore. It's not a. It's a
Oh, we have forgotten to bring up the Bowmore. Like I should pull that out here, but this is a bottle that
Grab it, I'll show it.
I bought last year that was like a $60 bottle of liquor,
So
like
bad.
1/5. Like so this should be an incredibly good bottle of liquor for what I paid for it at Costco, where you get bargains. And this is the worst bottle of liquor I have ever bought.
Look
It
how
is
much is still left in it.
frickin- yes, look, like that
We
is how
drank
much,
out of that.
That's how much we
3
could
grown
drink
men.
in one night.
3 grown men drank out of that.
It was so bad. So yes, this is the ultimate bet right here. Like if you feel super strong, you bet
You
a
challenge a
Bowmore.
Bowmore, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken.
And so that's our torture drink.
Yes.
So if you want to torture them,
So I feel strongly that the Packers will win by 10 plus points. I'm not chancing a Bowmore shot.
Right.
All right, so fantasy football stuff that I wanted to talk about real quick with the Bears. There's a lot of rumbling about Montgomery losing his job to Khalil Herbert.
Really?
Yes, like there are a lot of like the.
I heard a little bit of that over the summer,
Now
but-
this is now when I say that, this is fantasy football heads. They don't know anything. Like they see what they see opportunity for fantasy points, and they go, "Why isn't that guy getting the ball more?"
Agreed,
You know, and that doesn't always mean that the guy's ever going to get the ball more. But there are a lot of them that are saying that like Khalil Herbert is obviously the better football player than David Montgomery. Like he just has more talent. I don't think either of them are particularly eye popping.
I'm going to agree with that assessment.
So personally, I don't care, and I own
Yes.
and I, based on it, where it's interesting. I feel like there's a lot of things about this draft season, like so far for week 1, I feel like a genius, and David Montgomery is one of those. I have 0 David Montgomery anywhere this year,
Same.
and a lot of that was like, I know, like, okay, he finished RB4 in 2020. He puts up solid numbers when he gets touches, but they're constantly trying to fucking bring somebody along to to challenge him for the number 1 spot. So they obviously don't believe in him.
He's that average running back.
Yes.
You always feel like you can do better.
Yeah.
But man, he's average, and sometimes average is what you need.
You know what?
what I mean?
It's funny you say that, and it's like actually like I tried to think about that for a second, and it's actually he's more like a quarterback, because like typically with running backs that's not the case. Running backs and receivers and stuff, if you don't pop, you don't get much time. Like they will find a 4th round draft pick that
at least split time. with you, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's actually just like it's one of the more bizarre situations in the NFL. Because they just don't have a talented running back, and there's so many teams that have like 3.
Yeah.
So how do you have none? How do you not have 1?
Yeah, what would Dylan be like on that team, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, you be out there drinking Blue Label, freaking baller.
Oh, shit.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I did that when I was in college.
That's good stuff.
So are we all taking Green Bay? I'm going to put it on the
yeah,
board.
we're all taking Green Bay.
I think this is a huge bounce back game for Aaron Rodgers. This is one of those games where Aaron Jones could score 4 times.
I do like Aaron Jones a lot.
Aaron Jones has scored 4 touchdowns in a game 3 times in his career.
Ooh. Titans at Bills.
And I feel like I was playing against him every week he did it.
All right, Titans at Bills. I mean, obviously the whole world loves the Bills here, but I will say that the
should,
Vegas
'cause
line.
hold on.
Vegas
the whole world
might-
should love the Bills because they have the best quarterback. in
Right,
the world.
right. But Bills -10 versus the number 1 AFC seed last year. That seems like too much.
The number 1 AFC seed that just lost at home to the Giants.
To a fluke game. Dude, you were the one that said earlier there's no way they should have won. There's no way they should have been in it. It was just a
Yeah,
fluke
you're
that they
right.
were.
And we didn't get to the reason why.
Okay.
Because Titans suck. Now, the Titans they looked solid.
I have a
defensively,
question. I don't
But they
understand
look
it.
like
Why?
a team that doesn't have their weapon on offense anymore. Like they traded away AJ Brown, and they just don't have a dynamic weapon on offense anymore. Like they've got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a locomotive. He's not shifty. He's not catching passes out of the backfield and running for 15 yards to get you a 3rd and 12 or something like that. That's not who he is. If the Titans, like if they're not in winning game scripts, like I don't know.
We'll see. I've seen them do a lot in the past.
I know I have too. but I'm worried this year. I'm worried about the Titans.
So-
After week 1 watching, I'm worried about the Titans.
So a question beside who versus who. What are your guys' thoughts on Rainmakers by DraftKings? I've never heard of it.
Wait, what?
Rainmakers by DraftKings.
I haven't participated in it yet. I
Okay.
do the showdowns. I do the cash tournaments on Sunday, but I haven't participated in Rainmaker, so that would have to be explained to me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have not classic is my forte. Like that's what I do.
That's what I do too.
I really like the showdown. The showdown's fun.
Showdown is fun, but that's it's so low percentage that I really prefer the classic.
You think so?
drafts. Oh yeah.
I think the showdown's a higher percentage.
Really?
Yeah.
Do that over time, man. Over time, I really don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't. I've had success.
There's a lot of volatility because it's one game. There's so much volatility. It's like you have to predict that one game right.
But you have the thing is there's so many different variables in that one game. Like I don't know. Yeah, we could talk about that probably off air probably. We'll spend too much time talking about
So
sorry to say we don't have a lot of comment on that one, brother. I will check
but
it out.
I'll check into it for sure.
I will.
Thank you.
Bills versus Titans. Would you guys pick? I got nothing.
Oh
down
yeah,
for you guys.
Bills for
Bills.
sure.
Yeah.
The line.
He
is
doesn't like the
only
line.
question.
I think this is another game where I think the line is fine. I have the Bills winning 31-20. And to me, I think that's being generous, giving the Titans 20 points.
Just seems like it's going to be a close.
After what the Bills just did to the Rams? You kidding? At home? At home?
Like I said, week one
If
is
they're
just a whole different
If they were
animal.
in Tennessee, I would feel differently. If they were in Tennessee, I would feel like this is like one of those ripe upset games. They're going to be in Buffalo. Like that crowd's going to be crazy. Like, no, I think the Titans have no shot.
Wait, are you picking?
No,
the
he's
Titans?
not. He's just.
I'm taking the Bills,
We're
but
we're just.
versus-
He's lamenting over the line.
the
spread?
Vegas line.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the spread, I think they're going to cover the spread. But anyway,
Vikings at Eagles, or are you guys talking fantasy?
This is such a good game that I think this is the funnest game to watch of the weekend. So
I think you might be right there.
good job Monday Night Football getting this
Yeah.
one because it's this is the second hardest game to pick for me. Like I'm gonna pick the Eagles because they're at home and because it's Kirk Cousins on primetime. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna pick the Eagles because they're at home, but I don't feel strongly picking either team in this game. And this is like the Commanders and the Lions. I don't like. I'm the Lions are my lock. I'm picking the Lions this week. You know, they're the team I'm riding with. I'm guaranteeing they're gonna win. But this game, that game, and the Dolphins-Ravens game are the three hardest games to pick this week.
Honestly, I agree. This is a tough one
'Cause I could
for
just-
me, I really like Minnesota this year.
I
Like,
do
think
too.
they're-
And after
they're
what they
an
did to
underrated
Aaron Rodgers in
team.
Week 1, you know, the only thing that gives me pause.
I think they're going to be good this year.
Is that
Eagles are good too, and they're at home. And this is a very tough pick.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I like the Vikings here. I think they're just the better team overall.
I do too. I'm picking the Eagles because they're at home.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
he
see
never
it.
picks Eagles. That's a
Yeah,
taboo thing.
That's true too.
you know how I feel about the Eagles. Yeah.
Very true.
But you know what? And I feel bad because I picked. You know what? Hold on. No, I'm picking the Vikings because I picked against the. I picked against the Vikings last week, and I don't like doing that because I like the Vikings a lot this year. So I'm gonna stop picking against them.
All right. So fantasy prospects in this game.
All of them. Oh my God, they're everywhere. There's so many. We've got so many Adam Thielen questions today, and like I feel like that's because
He's on my roster.
because he did. I feel like we're getting questions because he didn't score last week, and so let's talk about that for a second. For people that have Adam Thielen, if he doesn't score you a touchdown, he's not going to be good. That's just that's how that's going to be. So I think.
So he's either going to have a touchdown and be a little bit above what you wanted, and you're going to be happy with
Yep.
him, or he's not going to get a touchdown and he's going to be below what
And
you
you're gonna be
wanted.
disappointed.
And that's just going to be the way it is all season long.
Yes, I totally agree. So I think this is one of those games where you do start him because where you're going to want to start him is where you expect the Vikings to need to score points. And the Eagles are going to score points, so the Vikings are going to have to score points. So I expect both of these teams to score at least 3 touchdowns. And in a game where I expect the Vikings to score 3+ touchdowns, I want to start Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
So,
And when you say start him in our league,
I'd start him as a 3. Yeah.
start him as a 3
Yeah.
or a flex,
Yeah.
right? And that's where I'd be too. I'd be leaning towards flex.
So if you're in a
if I start him as a 3, no big
receiver
deal.
league, he's a fine flex.
Agreed. Yeah.
But if you're in a 2 receiver league, you should. Man, I hope you have somebody better to start in your 1 and 2 slots.
Oh, and you should start Justin Jefferson.
I don't-
And
you
you
know,
should start Cook. Just saying.
Maybe. I don't know about this Justin Jefferson guy. I think I might have to see a little more.
On the other side, Eagles running backs. Like, what do you think about the
Oh, I
Eagles
hate
running
them.
backs?
Hate them all. Like the Eagles had 4 different players score rushing touchdowns last week. I want no part of that. Like Miles Sanders, if he hadn't he broke off 2 big plays, and if he hadn't, his numbers would look a lot different. And he had one of the touchdowns. They like all of their guys, and it seems like they're going to do.
But Miles Sanders is the best of the 4.
If you're going to choose
And
one of them,
for sure.
you're going to choose Miles Sanders. But he's a flex play
But
at best
he-
to me.
Okay, and I agree with he's flex and like number 2 if you have to.
Oh man, if you
Like,
have to have
you
like
don't
if
wanna start him
if
as
you
the number
have
2.
if you're starting Miles Sanders as your number 2, God, I hope you
Somebody
have,
better be on by.
you better
I
have
agree.
Jonathan Taylor or CMC.
Right. No, like I say, I see with that, but I don't think he's that bad. I think he's going to be startable. I think he's going to be decent. He's not going to be good.
We
but
just
he's
talked.
gonna
We
be
just talked about
decent.
Adam Thielen. I think Miles Sanders is
Is the running back version?
Yes, I think he's going to be exactly the same. The same. Like,
Well, but the
'Cause-
difference
because
is
if
he's a
you- like,
yardage guy.
okay,
Thielen is a touchdown guy.
He's not always though.
Sanders is
he's
a
not.
yardage
He's
guy.
not always
He's
though.
between the 20s.
He's so boom busty and like so that here's the thing.
But where he gets the
finish.
work
Let me
is
finish.
between the 20s.
And that's a problem. You don't want to start that running back. I want to start the running back who works inside the 20. Like how many people won championships starting Mike Tolbert back in the day?
Yeah, no, dude.
So all right.
I'm
so
just pointing out where his value is.
so here's the thing about Miles Sanders, and you could this is like a for anybody who listens to CBS, this is like an Azer stat. If you remove the touchdown, or you remove the two explosive plays, the two plays that he had where there were 25 plus yards, and because those are random,
Dude,
those.
I
hold
have
on,
a
hold on. Let me
problem
finish. Let me
removing
finish. Let me.
two.
I let you finish. Let me finish.
I'll remove
let me,
one,
Let me
but not
finish.
two.
Oh God. Oh God. All of those things. Anytime one of those happens, like a 25 plus yard play, you can't predict that. That's not predictable. He had two 25 plus yard plays and a touchdown in that game. That's just not going to happen all the time. He had less than 10 touches.
Okay. Like I say, overall, I kind of agree with you, but I'm just saying I think Miles Sanders has more value than most people think. I think he's somebody that's
I think
that's
he
a
has
good one to stash on your bench, and he's a good spot start from here.
I think
here
he's a
and there.
fine stash.
Now,
I think he's a
yes.
fine stash in case
He's a
some
good
of the in
person
case
to have on your bench.
in case the other guys get hurt.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to have him as a starter,
And then you flex
but you
him.
definitely want to have him on
just
the
like we were
bench.
talking about with Adam Thielen, or we're talking about Brandon Cooks. You flex them when your other guys are on bye or they're hurt.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to lean on Miles Sanders. So from the Eagles side, I want to start Jalen Hurts, I want to start AJ Brown, and I want to start Dallas Goedert. I want to wait and see on Devontae Smith. I'm not as down on him after week 1 as a lot of people are. Watching the game, he had a 20-something yard catch, got called back by a holding penalty. He had a drop on another play, and then he still had 4 other targets that counted for the game. So it's not like he wasn't involved. He wasn't.
Agreed, but the question is volume, and I don't think he's going to get enough
No.
volume to be fantasy relevant. Most
So I don't think AJ Brown's going to get 15 targets a game.
Agreed.
I don't.
No.
That's
I don't either.
that's not going to happen. The defenses are going to key in on him after what he did
For sure.
in week 1. And so I think there's going to be more room for Devontae Smith. I think that if you're somebody who drafted Devontae Smith based on where you got him, you're probably still flexing him.
So, in our league, 3 receivers, flex, and bench. Where would you want him?
Number 3.
See, I would want him on my bench. That is not somebody
No,
I
I'm still
would
no.
want in my starting
I like
lineup
Devontae.
at
I'm
all.
still starting him.
Ooh,
That's
that's a hot take to me.
To me,
I would not want him in my starting lineup.
See, you say that, and to me, it's the same thing as looking at Mike Williams.
What? How can you compare the two to Mike Williams?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, Devontae Smith was the number 1 wide receiver before they traded for AJ Brown.
And what did he do?
He did stuff. He
did stuff.
He was
but
he
nothing
was-
special.
That's not true.
Really?
I agree. I disagree.
Tell me.
Huh?
Tell me.
He had a 2-touchdown game last year.
Okay.
Okay. Well, how many rookies do that?
What?
Not a lot. Seriously, not a lot.
So random start where he does great does not
It's not. It
impress
wasn't
me.
just one random start. If you go back and you look at the game logs after he got over his injury and they started to implement him into the offense, he was very, very good. Devontae Smith was very good. I'm not an Eagles fan,
We got a
I
question.
agree. You're gonna have to
and
prove that one.
I'm
to me,
huge
bro.
on.
We got a question.
I like Devontae Smith.
Let's answer this
a
question.
lot. I do.
So-
sorry.
Calvo wants to know Rex Burkhead or Jamal Williams PPR league.
Burkhead.
That's a good question.
Jamal Williams vultured 2 touchdowns last week, but he's not if there's anybody out there listening who's fielding an offer for Jamal Williams, trade him.
Oh, if you can get something for him,
Anything,
for sure,
literally
but-
anything, because he's not going to get much work at all. DeAndre Swift is so far and away the better running back on that team. It's not funny. It's seriously not funny. He got lucky last week and scored 2 touchdowns. Do not start Jamal Williams. Don't do that. I don't like Burkhead either.
I was gonna say Burkhead is not very good this week.
No, he's
Like,
fine. He's fine. He's the number 1 running back on the team. He's gonna get the work.
That's always been my strategy. Try to pick the number 1 guy if you can't find somebody else.
Yes, if you can't find a guy that you're super excited to start for whatever reason you're super excited to start him, find the guy that has work. That's gonna get volume. Because in fantasy football, volume is king.
All right, and you hear me him and Han back here. Like that is a very, very tough one.
That's hold on. Let's take a second. Let's take a second and apologize to this viewer for the poor situation that you're in, friend.
We should have been there for you before draft time.
sorry.
We are sorry.
Yeah.
We should have been there for you before, but
we could have done better.
Now that we're here, now that we're here now,
We got another
I am
question
going
too.
to reluctantly agree with the Rex Burkhead.
I don't like starting
but
Burkhead ever. It feels
yeah.
bad. We started the show off by talking about this,
Yeah.
right? Didn't we?
Yeah.
So next question, first time chat from viewer Mason. Should I start Miles Sanders or Chase Edmonds? PPR.
Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds.
Yeah. Edmonds has a higher ceiling and floor, in my opinion. Like Miles Sanders can only do so much. Be just like as we were just talking, like there's just so much competition in the backfield. There's almost only so much he can do.
They
Whereas
clearly don't.
Edmonds
They clearly don't love him.
has the chance.
in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Is the thing about Miles Sanders? They don't. They just
They like him.
they like him.
They like him between the 20s,
they
and
like
that's
him.
it. That's all you can say.
They seem to love Gainwell though, because he just like gets more work than I think he deserves.
That's awful.
Thank you. I agree, but he gets so
just-
much work.
Yeah, he's not good.
He's like 5'7" too. I don't get it.
All right, so I think we've picked every game, and now we just need to pick Thursday for next week since we're not going to be on before then.
And we've got Steelers at Browns. So the Steelers.
Who am I gonna pick?
The Steelers are going to be starting Kenny Pickett because Mitch Trubisky's
Two possible.
too possible. Because Mitch Trubisky's going to get concussed this weekend.
Like I say, no matter what, against Brissett, I'm going to take the Steelers. You know, I'm a homer. Like that definitely has to be considered. But like even on the road, like come on, boys, it's Brissett. It's Brissett. Nobody likes Brissett.
Nobody likes Brissett, but man, I liked everything else about the Browns. I did. Like they're strong on the defensive line, they're strong on the offensive line. They got 2 running backs that run you over. Like Amari Cooper, as soon as Brissett figures out that Amari Cooper is just open all the time, I like him.
So we're gonna shot bet this one. Like we don't have a line on this one, but like heads up, shot bet.
Oh no!
So
I was
Mason-
gonna straight to take the Browns.
Mason,
You're
to
not?
answer,
You're not gonna take this.
No, I'm not gonna take a bet on this one, but I'm gonna pick the Browns.
Whatever.
so Mason, to answer your
I
question,
gotta pick the better team.
we all went Vikings in the Vikings Eagles game.
No, I picked the Eagles.
You switched
I know,
back.
I did.
Okay.
Ken was back and forth.
Are you picking the Browns on Steelers?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going Steelers on this one.
Me too.
I just have to pitch. I have to pick against Mitch Trubisky.
So just to clarify some things real quick, you guys. We were going back and forth on whether or not to include Thursday games, but since we're giving so much fantasy advice, it kind of feels wrong not to include the Thursday game in there because there's going to be a lot of players in the Thursday game. So now we're he's an Eagles fan.
Yeah,
He's an Eagles fan.
Who is?
Mason.
Oh, that sucks, buddy.
Ken hates you.
No, I have a lot of friends that are Eagles fans. I don't hate the look.
I just disrespect them.
Okay, so for our friend who's watching now, Eagles friend, I've never forgiven Philadelphia for cheering when the stretcher came out to get Michael Irvin.
I thought it was for booing Santa Claus, but okay.
I don't. I'll boo Santa Claus too. Like, no, that's fine. You can boo Santa Claus. But no, that is funny though. Like, who boos Santa Claus?
Hilarious.
But no, like the crowd erupted in cheer as the stretcher rolled out to get Michael Irvin, and I will never forgive Philadelphia for that.
So back to the Steelers and Browns fantasy prospects going on in there that game. Oh, he said he was he's 17 years old. He's never seen. He doesn't. He's not aware of the game.
that's before your time, bro. Yeah, but Philadelphia is a rough place,
Thank you, Kefka.
and that field was awful. That Veterans Field was the worst
Always has
stadium
been, yeah.
in the NFL for so long. Players got hurt in that place so many times.
It's next week, so it's hard to predict that game.
Fantasy wise, yeah, you
Yeah.
don't like
But-
you're just like forecasting things that could possibly happen. That's why I said that. That's why I made the joke about Kenny Pickett. We'll say that Trubisky commits the second butt fumble in NFL history and also gets himself concussed by slamming his face into the back of his center's butt.
So the reason, the thing about the Thursday game,
I'm not
guys.
going to argue.
You know what? He's because he can see a world where it happens.
I really can. Trubisky, he looks so bad, dude.
You know what? Honestly, I said this earlier that like Trubisky was the most level part of that game. That game was so up and down and all over the place. He didn't play terrible. He really didn't. He didn't lose them the game. And so what if I were a Steelers fan, that's what I would take away from that game is that okay, he's not going to throw. He's not just. I mean, Burrow threw 4 interceptions. Burrow threw 4 interceptions in the game. Like if you'd gone into that game, if some divine power had come down,
We got a question.
and told you that one of these 2 quarterbacks is going to throw 4 interceptions today, you'd bet your house it was going to be Trubisky.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there. All right, what's the question?
What week do you guys think Kenny Pickett will be the starter?
I just said 3.
Yeah, if you've been listening, Trubisky, we've
should,
been getting on him here. My guess is that week 4. The way Trubisky has been playing, it's just bad. We'll see how he does this week.
It's super. So it's so interesting that you're
as a
that
Steelers
question gets
fan,
asked.
I'm saying week 4, week 5.
I love that question got asked because it's entirely possible that we're sitting here 6 days from now, after 2 Steelers losses.
We won the first game.
No, they're going to play 2 games
okay.
in the next 6 days.
I was like, come on.
They're going to play the Steelers or the Patriots, and they're going to play the Browns.
Okay.
They're 2 losable games. It's entirely possible that we're here 6 days from now, already waiting for Kenny Pickett to start because they've already announced it because he took over for Trubisky.
But we can also be 3-0. Come on, Kenny Pickett.
And I didn't finish. Yeah, and you could also just as easily be 3-0 and
Yeah.
saying this is awful, but they're not going to make a change if we keep winning.
Yep. I honestly see that as a more likely
I
scenario.
do too.
I really do. I think we're
do
going to go
too.
3-0 and still
Like-
be like, oh, we need a new quarterback.
After watching him in week 1, I was like, he's not going to play bad enough for them to pull him. He's not going to be fun to watch at all, but he's not going to play bad enough for them to pull him.
He was so bad.
So Mason wants to add that he hopes Devontae actually gets passed too on Monday, but also he plays against him in fantasy this week. So fantasy prospects, Steelers and Browns on week 3. The reason why we're getting to this Thursday night game is because
Shoot on
we typically stream on Fridays. So it's our best we could do so far in advanced.
Yeah. I picked the Steelers. Honestly, the fantasy prospects are the same as this week. It's same names.
Ooh,
we
man.
just don't know what they're going to do.
Okay, in that game, I want nobody. I'll start Nick Chubb, and that's it. I don't even want Kareem Hunt.
Najee?
I don't even want no.
I'm going to start Hunt
No, I
because
mean,
he's
okay,
in
I'm
my
sorry. You're gonna
roster.
take Najee.
You have. I'm sorry. You always start Najee.
Thank you.
That's not a question though. Like when you draft a running back in the top 10, you're not asking me if you're starting him this week.
Yeah, but I put Najee and Chubb in the same category.
Oh, well,
So
yeah.
if
I
you're
guess
saying start Chubb,
I brought up Chubb. I should have brought up Najee.
Agreed.
That's fair. Yeah. So except for the running backs that you took in rounds 1 and 2, you don't want anybody. Maybe Freiermuth. We'll see.
We'll see how he does this
So
week,
yeah,
yeah.
if Freiermuth has another game where he has 6 plus targets, yeah, you're just locking him in after that.
Yeah, because
We had
Trubisky is
another question,
obviously
too.
locked up on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's it.
So this is actually an interesting question here because Mason, if you go back and watch our end of last season episode, you'll kind of get our goofball predictions. But who do you think wins the AFC North? Everyone in my state are annoying Ravens fans.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to.
So let's read off the AFC North teams.
Sure.
Go for it.
Oh yeah, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
Yeah, Steelers. I'm going
Homer.
Steelers. I'm going to go Steelers too on this one. Either that or the Not Steelers.
I'm gonna pick the Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Steelers or Bengals. That honestly, that's the way it
Like,
is. I
to
think
me-
the Ravens are a step down, and I think the Browns are 2 steps down.
Oh, yeah.
because of
The quarterback.
Watson.
Yeah.
Agreed. So it's Steelers or Bengals, and Bengals have this amazing passing game, this amazing quarterback. I totally agree,
Yeah, they're talented.
and I think that the Steelers are more talented overall. I think they have
So-
a better defense, and I think they have a better, like, well-rounded offense. But Burrow is amazing. Burrow is one of those
so
top 5 quarterbacks that is a game changer.
Agreed.
And as much as I hate to admit that, I mean, that's what he is. So Burrow is always a possibility.
So the Bengals turned the ball over 5 times against the Steelers in Week 1, and still would have won the game had McPherson made either the extra point or that overtime
Well,
field goal.
if the snapper hadn't been hurt.
yeah,
The snapper was hurt.
That's right, I
And
forgot
if the
about that.
snapper was
So
fuck,
funny.
if the snapper, sorry, there's number 1 for me. If the snapper was healthy, that's my first F
we
bomb.
both had one tonight.
No, you had 2.
I had 2.
You had 2.
Oh, dang it.
Back to back.
Dang it. Oh, I did. You're right. I had 2 last week too. Dang it.
But if that snapper was healthy, you're right. We would have lost. And we probably should have lost that game.
And therefore, like a
Based
team.
on how it
so
went.
to me, a team that can overcome 5 turnovers,
I agree.
and still lose a game like that closely, that's a good team. They're a really good team. So I think the Bengals are going to be really good. I have more confidence in them than I have in the other 3 teams. But that's
I
me.
don't want to agree with
That's
that.
me not honestly, but that's me being not a Lamar Jackson fan. Like if I feel because I feel like
limited.
the most solid team is the Ravens. I don't like Lamar. I just don't like as a quarterback. I just don't like. I mean, I don't want to say I
There's
don't
some
like
major
Lamar.
flaws
Lamar
there.
Jackson, like you're a cool dude. I don't know you at all. But as a fan watching football, I don't enjoy watching Lamar Jackson play quarterback.
And you should have signed that contract because at the end of the year this year, I don't know if you're going to get more.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and I still feel strongly about that. Like if
Yeah.
I was the Ravens, I'd be shopping them.
All right, so
Is that
we picked
close it out
everything?
for the night?
yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Did
Man.
we have anything that we really want to talk about? Because
We still got to go over our draft picks for DraftKings.
Dude,
do
DraftKings. Oh my god.
The best part of
All
that.
right.
You got
Yeah.
a shot to
So first of all, let's go back
me.
to.
It was
no,
me.
it was you.
It was
Thank
me.
you. I was
I-
like, wait, me?
Oh, we thought it was you coming into the night.
So last week, what were the results of last week?
What are the results?
Yeah.
we don't need to talk about it. Let's just talk about.
Oh, you know what? We got a question too. Hold on. We got
Kicked ass.
some questions and comments. First off, let's go with the comment first since Ken has his headphones off at the moment. Mason feels that Lamar is going to the Dolphins. Oh, you think he's going to get traded? I think Lamar is going to the Dolphins. Is his comment? And then Axis
Depends on how Tua does, but
That's interesting.
Axis Myths wants to know, is Higgins going to play tomorrow?
Yeah, we don't know that yet.
yeah, we won't know until what 8:30, 9:30, whatever it is. But
We'll get the official injury report sometime at like 8:30 or 9 in the morning.
But either way,
I would say that-
I wouldn't be real high on Higgins this week because I don't think the Bengals are going to have to do that much to beat the Cowboys. So, there's not going to be a ton of passing game work. I think it's going to be more mixing on the ground. But what do you think?
Well, we talked about this earlier, and I think T. Higgins is his track record is that if he's playing, you start him.
I agree.
I'm worried that he's not going to play tomorrow. I am very worried that he's not going to play tomorrow.
Or be limited.
I don't know. I don't think he'll be limited. it's because we're talking concussion, so and that's one of those like.
Oh, yeah.
It's because it's not an actual like injury where they'd have a reason to limit him. It's like it's black and white. You know,
You're right,
you either
you're right.
you go through the protocol or you don't. But I think at this point, if he was going to be ruled out due to a concussion, that would have happened already. So I don't even think that's what it is. I think like we talked about this. He's got a personal issue this week. Like he lost his father. And I honestly think that's probably a bigger determining factor on whether or not he's going to play.
Concussion rule-outs are usually at the end of the week, though. Like,
Yeah, but not
like, they
Sunday
wait till
morning.
they wait,
Not Sunday
they
morning.
Do. They wait till the very end.
Typically not.
Well, depending on how he is. Like if he's doing good, then yeah, they'll clear him on Thursday or Friday.
He's
But
been- and he
if
had
they
been-
haven't cleared him on Thursday or Friday, like Sunday is a very iffy thing.
I'm pretty sure he's been passing through all of the concussion protocols that he was supposed to go through. That's my understanding of the situation. It's just they haven't made a declarative on whether or not he's going to be in or out. And so, and because in like in typical situations where we see with somebody dealing with concussion, we know already. We don't get to Sunday morning and find out, oh, he's the concussion's actually keeping him out. We typically don't get that. That is typically
With a concussion?
no.
Like that's a protocol thing. Like it's
and
you
stop
pass
for a
the
second.
test or don't.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Because that's such a sensitive thing, they don't allow that to run up to game time. They don't they protect your brain much more than that. They're not going to go, okay, it's 9:30. Let's see if he's foggy or not.
All right.
No, the people who get ruled out last minute, it's his hamstring or his ankle or his knee, and he went out for warm-ups and decided he wasn't going to be able to play.
But
Those are the guys that get ruled out on Sunday morning.
And I totally agree. But on
But he could also just, like I said, he could also get ruled out and it be like personal.
but concussions are usually ruled on Saturday, right? Like they kind of like determine one way or the other.
I thought I think it's Friday because teams don't practice on Saturday.
So again, not determined on Friday. Like that's something to be nervous about.
I'm not nervous about the concussion.
All right.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not nervous about his concussion situation.
All right.
I feel like if
Without clarification, I would be. That's all I'm saying.
So this is a little bit of a fun part, I think, of the show. I think it's going to become a pretty fun part of the show.
the DraftKings.
The DraftKings.
Oh, yeah.
What were your guys' results last week? How many points did you score?
Not
Yeah, shut up. You won.
Yeah.
Ray kicked our ass.
Like which lineup do you want? Because
The one that we read off in the show.
okay,
Ray
that one
put his
I'll-
lineup in at the last second and just completely crushed us.
He sure did.
Way to go, Ray.
All right.
Damn it.
Thank you. Well, what were your guys' numbers? What are your final numbers?
109.
I was 111 and something.
I was 109.
109 and 111. Okay, it's officially logged. On to the next week, though. What are the lineups for this week? I guess I'll start it off.
Tell us, winner.
All right, so I think Stafford's going to have a bounce back week. So I went ahead and went with Stafford. With the Giants, I'm going to go with Barkley. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. Kind of a money saver there. I wanted somebody. I like Tyreek Hill's performance, so I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill. And I'm hoping Robinson's going to get a lot of targets. I wanted to save a little bit of money. I went with Robinson. Wide receivers, St. Brown for Detroit. That was kind of a dice throw when I picked him. And Higbee got quite a few more targets than I thought he would last week. And so I'm going a little Rams heavy, and I'm picking Higbee as well. Fant for my flex, money saver, and this was just pure to try to get some more money on the board. I went with Seahawks for my defense.
All right. Okay, I'll go next here. Let's see. All right, for a stack this week, I really like Carr and Adams. So Derek Carr got to save a little money with $6,200, and Devontae Adams had to pay up, but I think it's worthwhile. At the running back, I think Nick Chubb is going to be awesome this week against the Jets. Like hard to argue against that. Gibson on the same level is going to be really good against Detroit. Like for the price, it's hard to argue. Like, Gibson's going to be great. To save some money at wide receiver, Mr. Dortch. What a Dortch. But he is the stone minimum at 3,500, and he's pretty much guaranteed 5 targets in that offense at this point, if not more.
He'll probably
he
get more.
I was going to say he got quite a bit more.
He had 9 targets.
Yeah.
He had 7 catches.
7
And he had
catches, 9 targets last week. For 3,500, I think he's a bargain. Like, you're just really looking for him to get 12 points, and he's great. And then for my last wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. With all the cornerbacks out for Baltimore, I think that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are both going to be great plays this week. One of them is obviously going to go off, and I'm going to take my chance at Tyreek Hill there. Tight end, I saved some money with Conklin, 3,400. Not the stone minimum, but like getting close to it. I think he's going to have enough usage to be worthwhile there. And flex, I've got Henderson. I think at 5,700, Henderson is definitely a bargain. And DST, like Bengals, like at 2,200, how can you not go Bengals? Like, that's the way to go.
Changing to Bengals. This is Sunday only games, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, Sunday, 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock.
I think. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, we don't have
sorry.
primetime games.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right, and for me, I also really like the Derek Carr stack this week, but I went away from that, and I am going to go with the Lions and Commanders game to stack guys from.
Okay.
So at quarterback for $5,800, getting a huge savings. I'm going to go with Carson Wentz, which I don't feel great about. I don't like. At running back, I've got Saquon Barkley and DeAndre Swift. At receiver, I've got Jerry Jeudy for $5,600. Jerry Jeudy.
That's a bargain.
I thought that he was far and away the more explosive receiver for Denver. We talked about earlier, I really think that Russ is going to, like, when he gets into trouble, he's going to throw the ball to Cortland Sutton more often than he's going to throw the ball to Jerry Jeudy.
So Sutton was the dependable, and Jeudy was the home run.
Yes, Jeudy.
I
Yeah,
agree with that.
Jeudy is the playmaker. So I like Jeudy, and then to stack my my Commanders and Lions, I've got Terry McLaurin, Terry McLaurin at 6,600, Amon St. Brown at 6,500, and then at my tight end, I've got Logan Thomas at 3,400.
Wow.
He had an end zone target last week. Had a couple. He had a couple of good looks, and he was on a snap count also, so he should be playing more this week. And he's just like, I mean, maybe this is me being a Cowboy fan, and I've seen him do damage to my Cowboys too many times, but he's a really talented guy that has trouble staying healthy.
He's super athletic. I'll give you that.
He's a converted quarterback, 6'6" quarterback.
Yeah. Super athletic.
In the flex, I've got James Robinson at 5,600. And my defense this week is going to be the Jets. Because Jake Brisket is no threat to put up 30 points ever.
So we got
What
a
the Jets cost
question.
you?
2,200 for the Jets.
Wow, same price. Okay, very nice.
So we got a question.
It's a more of it's a so the real quick, the chalk play is the Bengals. Like if you're playing,
Agreed.
so my lineup is a tournament lineup with the huge Washington and Detroit stack, and the Jets are a contrarian defensive play because a lot of people are going to be on the Bengals because they're $2,200 and they're playing against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys don't have Dak Prescott. I'm not all that convinced that the Cowboys aren't going to be able to score points based on what they did with Cooper Rush last year. And I am convinced that the Browns are not going to score very many points with Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. Like, their over-under every single week to me is going to be like 17 points.
Okay, so the question, I keep seeing Chase Edmonds under hard sit lists. All I have is D. Harris to sub for him. What do you guys think? Half PPR.
I would ride Edmonds for sure. If my only option is Damian Harris, I'm gonna play Chase Edmonds. Damian Harris is at the Steelers this week. the Ravens gave up chunk plays to both Jets running backs last week. I'd much rather have Chase Edmonds.
Whew.
Yeah, I agree
Wow.
there.
What a night.
Yeah, I love all the questions, and yes, I agree on Chase Edmonds. Like that's the way to go. But like, I love all the questions tonight.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you
so
guys so
much.
much. Like,
So
really
much fun.
appreciate you like listening and engaging, and like every question you ask adds to the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we hope you guys crush it this weekend, and let us know how you did.
Agreed.
Wow. So again, we try to typically do this on Friday, guys. Sometime between 6 and 8 is our start time. We usually get started around 7. I think is fair to say.
Yep.
We are a long form podcast. It's usually
Definitely
good for
long
about 3 hours.
for podcast. iTunes, Spotify, all those great spots, you guys. You can find us, and again, hopefully we'll have the Facebook up and going too next week. We'll see what happens. A lot of like background tech, like you got to go through to get stuff like that going. But anyway, that's it for me. You guys got any last words?
I think we said it all this week.
And then some. Good luck, everybody.
See you next
See
week.
see